All right, everybody, welcome back on a Thursday to episode 401 of the Unpaid and Underrated podcast. The podcast by crew, for crew, about crew, and heavily mocked by the Discord crew. I am Big Joey, because when you're here, you're always big, if we have any new listeners. And I'm joined by.
Hey Keith, how we doing? Howdy. And our good buddy Big David, one of the Davids. I'm not sure which one yet, but we'll get into it later tonight.
How's it going?
Welcome to Unpaid and Underrated, my friend.
Good
It
to be here.
it was going great until I just clued in that I don't have a koozie. So I've got
Koozie.
I've got
Uh-oh.
beer in cans and like my poor hands.
I'm still waiting for him to come out with the Mick Ultra koozie that fits the skinny cans. And until then, I think I actually added like an orange skinny koozie on Amazon wishlist for Christmas, but I kind of hope I don't get it because I don't need more reasons to drink because the Friday mornings after drinking 3 or 4 beers on here, I'm useless. Like my entire day is wasted. It's just like I might as well just wake up Saturday because that's about as good as my Friday's going to be. But since we're talking about that, what are you drinking tonight, Big David?
Let me grab it right here and open it up. I've got a Kirkland brand grapefruit sparkling water.
Oh, nice. A fan of the Costco drinks, right?
Yeah, I like them. I'd say they're kind of like in between LaCroix and bubbly flavor-wise. More flavor than a LaCroix, but not as flavorful as a bubbly.
Not essenced.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's more essence, but not crazy.
I have a new bubbly this week. I think it is actually called Just Bubbly. It is their just unflavored sparkling water, and similar to what is it what's the one that Joey likes that's unflavored? The
Liquid Death.
yeah. So it actually I think it's better than that. Like it's just like drinking like pure well, I don't know. So I don't know if you had your headphones in, Joey, but it's a unflavored bubbly, just bubbly, and it's amazing.
Yeah?
I
Hell
think it's amazing, but I'm also extremely thirsty, so it could just be like, hey, water, or this is great, but I don't
yeah.
know. Like there's no aftertaste or anything. It's just nice and crisp.
All right. I guess I'm the only one drinking a beer, as usual. I have from Grain and Grit. We've had them on here before. I'm drinking a winter white stout. So this is a white or clear stout beer. And it is got water, barley, oats, wheat, cocoa nibs, candy canes, hops, peppermint, and yeast. And it is the thing I look forward to every December. It is one of the best beers. It's what got me into Grain and Grit. So
Nice.
I'm cracking one of them so I can feel bloated as shit.
Mm-hmm. Little seasonal action.
Yep.
What are you wearing over there tonight, David? Anything good?
Yeah, so I learned something listening to the last live episode or the last unpaid episode. So what I'm wearing, I don't think it's been on here yet. It's the Live Fast t-shirt, which
Nice. I
all
think
the
that.
all the listeners will see it. So decided
Yeah.
to pull it out of the closet. It's a large, so it doesn't really fit me very well anymore. So I don't really wear it too often, but special appearance for tonight.
Yeah. The NASCAR shirt that reminisces from one of our early episodes with a little
Yep,
roll tide action.
Roll Tide.
I got a new one this week. I think it's one of their older, well, not older, but it's a couple year old logo. But I never picked up the Lift Hard, Live Easy. When it before the meet, I never really loved the shirt. I don't know why. Just because I'm not one that necessarily likes mixing my living hard and living easy. So I didn't really get it until I kind of got it. You know what I mean? Like I got it in Aberdeen, but prior to that, like no, I don't want to drink a beer and then go work out or anything like that. So but after the Lift Hard Live Easy, this is the second thing closest to a follow up to that kind of, and like a secondary meat shirt since it's their logo. So I was like, I had to pick it up. So here she goes.
All right, I'm wearing a new one here. I've got the Ouch Everything Hurts. I
Love that.
received this one in the mail last week as a gift actually. So yeah, I didn't have it before this one.
It's fitting for right now, isn't it?
Yeah, everything hurts. Yeah. It's like right here, and it's like of course it's right before the meet. It's just so that I can bomb the meet and have an excuse. We all do it.
Yeah, throw a little compression on it during squat. Well, you should be able to wear an elbow sleeve during squats and deadlifts, honestly, just not bench. So if the slightest little bit of compression takes away like 20% of the pain or 10% of the pain, that's worth it. So I'd look to see what the rules are for what you're allowed to wear for elbow sleeves during those lifts.
I'll be fine as long as it stays on the bone.
I'm just trying to help. That's all, buddy.
I appreciate it.
But we're back, guys. For the listeners, last week Nate and the boys came into your ears pretty hard, and this week it's just back to me, Joey, and the guests. So back to our regularly scheduled format. Let us know how you like the other episode. Currently, if you're listening to this, the poll might be over. I'm not really sure. It all depends, but either way, go vote or go listen to last week's episode, see who won. Someone will get a bottle of Ailmonia coming up in the next week or two, and that was the first of potentially a few a year. However many Nate wants to do. I'm always down to take a week off here and there because it was bliss. It was crazy not recording last week. Like we didn't have. It was just not having something to do. Wow, I went 13 days without having a podcast. That was interesting.
Yeah. Totally nerve-wracking because we've built this, right? With Nate's help, we've built the brand, we've built the format, and it's kind of like handing somebody else your baby and being like, please don't fuck this up. And
exactly.
And they didn't. They did a really good job from what I've heard. I just want to thank everybody for getting on there, having fun, making me laugh. I laughed out loud a couple times. So Nate can do this. Nate chooses not to, but Nate was really good on the microphone. I'll give him that. Two things I need to clarify. And that is that, yes, the hosts did have hop water on the episode before we had hop water on. So I think there was a little bit of confusion there. Tanner brought some hop water on. And also, I hate tea. I think Nate cracked a joke about sending me tea. Don't send me tea. I hate it. I won't drink it.
Well, I mean, that's like Tanner sending me fucking Will Ferrell socks. Like they're not gonna send you something you want. It's everything in this world is bits, gags, and jokes and fucking ribbing. So that is what we do and what we are. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. For clarity, yeah, Nate could be on literally every episode if he wanted to be. I think Nate's in bed at 8:30 every night. So I'm pretty sure he lost some brownie points with his old lady staying up till 11 o'clock recording a podcast a couple weeks ago. So he does what he can, and he probably spends more time editing than we do recording. So we appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, he did a good job leading it. He's definitely capable of hosting a show, so it's good that he can step in sometimes like that.
Yeah, and he did say something that really made me laugh when he said put less words on shirts. And I think if we ever do an unpaid and underrated shirt, I'm gonna fight to put less words on shirts.
Hey, you guys can go on Amazon and put anything you want on a shirt. I actually, if anyone saw me on Instagram, I did make my own unpaid and underrated shirt on the fly because I wanted to have it for the Crew Falls meetup. But unlike when I did them all for my gym and just had the hassle of like trying to get money from like 20, 30 different people, and then like dude, I had some gained some bitter relationship with people because I'm having the people that like won't pay me and shit, and like, or they said they want a shirt and I ordered it and then they don't want it after the fact. It's like, I don't know, I'm not going to deal with that. So, well, we might figure out a way to like set up an online store and you can just buy through a printer or some shit, or literally just message us for the logos, that I had on my shirt, and then you can figure it out on your own on Amazon. But
could be worse. We could get everybody to send us money and then completely ghost them.
As heard on
don't even. We're not naming names on that one. All right, should we rate last week's episode? What's last week's episode? Is that Pete Rubish?
Yeah, it was Pete Rubish. Yeah, it was a good one. I everything blends together really, especially with last night. We just did the fucking honestly, we could just rate last night's fucking episode because it's more fresh in my brain. But the Pete Rubish episode, Pete's a good guy. I like a lot of his content. I wish he does like his own podcast sometimes, but he like just pushes it to his YouTube to help like push that channel. And as far last time I looked, he didn't actually like produce it as a podcast. It was always a pain in the ass to actually listen to while I was driving. But I honestly felt like the food talk. I feel like I've heard Pete say that exact same thing, like on 3 different other videos or podcasts. Just like I like frozen pizza and this, that, and the other, and like the couple things he hit on. It's like, so I give him kudos to like liking what he likes and telling the world about it. So for being a man of consistency as I am, we'll go ahead and give the Pete Rubish episode 5 JD iPod touches. 5 Massonomics Gym iPod Touches.
Man takes 1 week off and forgets how to do it.
Oh, yeah, right. Could be worse.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I liked his old one, and I like this one again. It's funny when he gets all excited about food and also his steroids talk. He gets really into it. You could tell he enjoyed that time of his life, just experimenting with everything to the extreme. He's talked a lot about running, which is, I don't know, kind of boring, but the end of the episode, there's a lot of good talk about the Big David. So that was pretty redeeming. I'd give it, if we're not doing the JDPs anymore, I'd give it a five Massonomics iPod Touches.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was really funny when they asked him about something and he just spent 15 minutes going off about drugs. That was really funny to me because he just didn't even answer their question, just made up a question in his head and went on about steroids. I laughed out loud on that one. Always love a good food chat. So, if there's anything, it's that he just talks so much, right? Like, gotta love the dude, but he just went off. And because of that, I think I can only give it 5 Massonomics Gym iPod Touches.
Ooh,
It's fair.
I'm not sure what that's going to do to the average, but we'll have an answer for you next week when we get a chance to check out the spreadsheet. Let's see. So I had a little interesting thing happen to me. I got my first freaking gray hair this week. It's a hysterical thing too because I sent a picture of it to my wife while I was I think I was at a red light and I took a quick selfie, which I shouldn't have done anyway. But like, I didn't have a chance to fully investigate because I was just like, man, what the fuck is in my beard? Why is that white? And I'm like, I eat like, a Greek yogurt every day for lunch, and I've been known to spill food over myself regularly. So I'm like, is that just fucking some food in my beard? And then so like the text I sent her was something they sent of like, not sure if I just got my first gray hair or if it's Greek yogurt. And then fucking got out of the shower that night. Like, God damn it, it's still there. So yeah, sure enough, I've got one. It's fucking not even gray. It's whiter than shit. So I have a long, white, straight fucking beard hair. So 38 and a half years old, and I have my first gray hair. So that was a little, I don't know, different.
Yeah, I will be 39 in 2 weeks, and my beard is already getting white streaks in it. And I don't know if you know this, but gingers don't go gray. We only go white or blonde.
Gotcha.
So I will end up probably with a white beard, which is fine because then I can just be Santa Claus for like sick kids and stuff, which is dope. Like, I could do it now, but it would be more fun if I actually looked like them.
Dig it.
I did not watch any of the YouTube videos this week. I honestly I worked every day for like 10 days and then just like slept for 2 days. I have not watched anything.
What about you, David? Did you catch either of them last week's or today's?
Yeah, last week was the shoe one, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah, anyway, Arsonomics, and then today Tanner talked about barbells.
Yeah, I watched them both today. I like the barbell one more. It's a little more relevant, but it's just cool to see how the bars do and don't hold up. I mean, for the most part, where you hold the bar, that doesn't really wear down, which is good. And it's always just cool seeing them show off all their bars on their ghost rack to throw it all together like that.
Yep. I'm not, as far as the Ursonomics, I've never tried a pair on or anything like that. I told my wife, I was like, hey, if I was ever to buy the pair of these shoes from Barefoot, which is, I'm not even really familiar with them all that well. They're just, you guys talking about them. But like, if you were to ever buy me a pair, it would be this pair or no other pair. And like, they're going to sell out in the next couple of weeks. So, I don't care either way. If you want to get them for me for Christmas, great. If not, I don't care that way either way. So I will be surprised on Christmas that I either do or don't get them. And I'm cool with it either way. So having Tommy talk about those and, build up the hype was kind of cool. Tommy doesn't get a whole lot of the videos, so it's cool when he actually, takes the initiative and does his own little thing and, little different side of the boys. As far as the barbell one, yeah, I get it. One thing I would recommend to them, I don't know how much effort they want to actually put in their YouTube, but they're doing the ads now and everything. So I think Tanner had mentioned like, if you like these equipment reviews or equipment episodes, basically, because they have a handful of them now between their gym walkthroughs and a couple other like gym updates. And then there's go check out her back catalog. But I think if with just a little bit of extra work, they could have actually like, because you can put like links to certain episodes like as the credits roll, and then that would like help your engagement for like if you have a new viewer watching that video for the first time because it's like gym equipment related, and they're like, cool, look, gym equipment. And then instead of just saying, go look in my back catalog, which has like fucking 1,000 videos, you actually cherry pick 2 or 3, similar-ish episodes or, videos. That would be a suggestion to, the sister podcast, but take that with a grain of salt. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. The only YouTube videos I post are my meet recaps and high school football videos. So
Yeah, it's definitely like when you're driving behind a car or a truck and it'll just say like Google our company name. And you're like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. Don't make me do the work to give you money. Get out of here.
this was the first week, well, tail end of November, beginning of December when this is coming out. So that Spotify Wrapped is hitting everybody's Instagram feed pretty much. And I kind of feel bad because I gave up listening to podcasts on Spotify a few years ago. When Tommy recommended Overcast, probably 3 years ago, the first time I heard it, I just went balls in on Overcast. And I don't like, I kind of, my philosophy is Spotify is better, but I don't like mixing my podcast on my music app because I literally listen to like 20 different podcasts. And I don't want to have to sort through 20 podcasts to find my recently played playlist from 3 days ago on music. And it just like that wasted 5-10 seconds of my life was not worth it. So I just completely got a new app for consuming podcasts versus music. But what I did want to talk about is Spotify Wrapped. I thought it was really cool. We had at least a dozen people tag us and stuff. We tried to reshare as many as we could. It was really cool to see pretty much, Massonomics, Unpaid and Underrated, and then like, different variations of, Dave Tate's podcast or Garage Gym Experiment or, completely unrelated fitness podcasts. So that was just cool to see us right up there. And I think it would play our cards right. And we actually do a full year of recording next year because it should be based off runtime, I believe. It's not like how much you like the episode or anything. It's literally like minutes of that podcast consumed. So I think our average episode is a little bit longer than theirs, which probably isn't the best thing. But, if we, ideally we can get that down. But if things stay on track, we'll potentially have more minutes, produced next year. So if everyone listens to our episodes, we might edge them out, which would be astonishing to see and just, amusing because clearly they're the bigger, better podcast. It would just be funny to see us beat them out just by minutes consumed by maybe like 15 of our loyal listeners.
I don't listen to other podcasts. I listen to 3 in total. Well, 2.5. No, let's say 2 in total. So I listen to Massonomics every week. Sometimes I'll listen to ours if I have time in the Norse Fitness podcast, but they release pretty irregularly. So I don't bother posting my podcasts. But there was one thing that I got, and I wanted to tell a little story.
Yeah, it's fair.
So there's 2 things that I added here that I thought would just be funny. And I don't know, they'll either fall short or not. But Jenny from Deadlift Till I'm Dead, she was posting some workout videos and wearing Doc Martens in the gym. And that's when I was just like, huh? Because it never occurred to me, right? Like that just people have these different preferences. And I had to let her know, we're not going to roast you or anything. It just made me want to suddenly ask people what they work out in. And so I did. And I'm going to name drop a little here. So, an old pair of Reebok lifting shoes comes from Mitch. That's a fun one. TR Lights from Big Matt Cesny.
Those are Mark Bell's shoes that he came out with 10 years ago, and Reebok produced them.
Oh yeah, I know the story. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The way you said it made it sound like you were. Who the
fuck's
TR Lights?
Yeah. No. Okay, so I didn't make the connection until you told me that. Let's put it that way. Untied Chuck Taylors comes from Big Lou,
That's
which
popular.
That actually sounds just like Big Lou.
Yeah.
Bit of a cop out from Mark here. Something you can lift the most weight in and is still moderately comfortable. Now, I'm going to tell you, that sounds dangerously like riding the line.
Definitely.
All I know is my squat shoes are not comfortable, but I can probably lift the most in them, so I wouldn't. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Nike Romaleos came up a couple times. Big Hot, he prefers water shoes.
Okay, water. Oh,
they're just slippers. Yeah,
just
they're
slippers.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, those are
it's like
basically
shit you would
deadlift
wear,
slippers.
Okay.
Yep.
Those are like squishy with like a gel almost, aren't they? From what I remember as a kid wearing them at like the beach.
No, they might be, but
Maybe they've changed.
they probably just leave room for walking on gravel and then not, having your
See what
shoes
you're
filled
saying.
with water. But definitely the most popular one was no shoes or barefoot shoes.
Mm.
That was easily the most popular amongst my followers. The the Vivo Fit got mentioned more than once. And I noticed that Big Jess was also talking about those. So those are now piqued my interest because three people, I think, said it here and Big Jess said it. So I was like, okay, I will take a look. So what do you guys think? What are you lifting?
So it depends on the lift. Usually on squat days, I'll just do barefoot, so I'll just wear socks. If I'm doing like a low bar, going for like a 1 rep max, I'll wear my squat shoes, but usually I'll just wear socks. Benching, I'll wear whatever I'm wearing, either socks or just my Crocs, or if I'm wearing my running shoes already, I'll just keep wearing those. Doesn't usually make a huge difference. And then deadlifts, I'll usually put on my deadlift slippers. I have the old ground lock deadlift slippers. Sometimes just in socks, depends, but usually I'll just throw those slippers on.
The joy of having my own home gym and everything is I can wear whatever I want. So inevitably, like 90% of my accessories are done in just socks or socks with Crocs. As far as the big three, I'll always wear my Addy Power squat shoes, the OG Addy Powers. They don't make anymore for squats. I typically will wear those on bench if I am going to wear shoes, just because the raised heel takes makes it a little bit easier for me to just reach the floor basically. Because I compete in different federations, so I have to like be able to bench flat footed in certain feds. So I typically just bench flat foot. If I'm going to bench with my feet on the ground, I'm going to be flat foot. So squat shoes for bench helps me, and then I'll deadlift either in socks or in my wrestling shoes that I would wear to meet.
Wrestling shoes didn't come up a lot, but you're not the first person to say it.
Yeah,
Right?
they're pretty cool.
Definitely a little more ankle support, still flat footed. I've heard that a couple times. And that
Yeah,
was it.
popular in my group.
I just wanted to go and just kind of ask that question and put it out there, and it was just fun to see it. Mostly just people like no shoes at all is the best, and I was like, well, that tracks that you people follow me because that's if I never had to wear shoes again, I'd be happy.
But do you at least wear socks, or are you one of the I want my toes out there? Because that's
Barefoot,
like I
barefoot,
don't
buddy.
trust what I don't
No, I don't
trust
like
what
that either.
floor I'm in. I
It's
can't
my
do
floor.
barefoot.
It's my floor. I got a little broom there, and I sweep it up.
So I guess in your setting, it's not as bad. I've got like there's like you know 30 different people coming in and out of my gym over the course of a year potentially, like, and their shoes are not clean. Like they might be like clean as in like but they're still been in bathrooms and shit. So I don't want my bare toes touching like just ugh. And it's not really super easy to mop a stall mat, especially the ones that I have that have like
Oh, I know because
the bumps on them. So
somebody tracked mud through my gym.
yeah,
And
so
believe me, I did the eye twitch that you do sometimes. I was so fucking mad about it because like I had to get on my hands and knees with like Swiffers and shit to get that up. Like I was pretty pissed about it.
You could try using a bar soap for that.
Yeah,
It's pretty clean.
It'll never get dirty. I was actually going to
suggest
suggest maybe Keith just gets an orange Roomba for his gym. That like he gets a no wine Roomba.
I thought about a Roomba.
Goes around.
Wouldn't be a horrible idea. I'm limited on space though, and that thing's like always got to have a plug and shit, and like I'm limited on outlets in the basement. To be honest with you.
I have one. It kind of sucks. It gets stuck all the time and doesn't go on the charger, so it's not really worth it.
Yeah, I'm not. That would be the worst because you're lucky. You buy the $1,000 one, it works like shit, and then your buddy buys the $80 one on Amazon, and it works perfect. And it's all the luck of the draw.
Mm-hmm.
So how's your meat prep, Joey? Do you want to talk about that at all, other than like your little elbow pain and whatnot? Anything else worth mentioning, or any goals you want to talk about, or anything like that? Or you just want to touch it on it in a couple of weeks when we actually do the full recap?
Yeah, this is just I want to get it. I need to lose about 2 more pounds. I'm doing good so far. Down from about 172 down to about 167. So I want to get down under 165. I think I'll make it. I don't think I'm gonna break 1,000 pounds. I really, really wanted to, but going from training only deadlifts to now trying to train full power, I've lost a bunch off of my deadlift, but that makes sense. Like I'm not pissed about it. It just I didn't squat at all on the last one. So now here I am, adding a 300 and something pound squat. So yeah, my elbow hurts a bit. Everything's going all right. I just need to start sleeping better and maybe eating a little cleaner.
What's sleep? What is sleep?
It's that thing. It's that thing we don't do anymore because we're either here or recording at work.
Fucking yeah, I'm so glad. Like as I loved last night. It was so awesome staying up like with the boys, but man, I didn't get to bed till like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and my fucking alarm went off at 4:15 or some shit. And I'm like,
I'm lucky I was off today.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed last night a lot more if I was off today. But they only do like the 2 hour lives a couple times a year, so I'm not going to be like, oh, I got to go to bed. Bye, guys. So, like,
and they called us in, right? Like,
oh yeah. I fucking ended up like muting myself somehow.
Yeah, I noticed.
Like Tommy unmuted me, and then I was like, I muted myself. And then I think I tried to talk a couple times. I don't think I got anything actually came out. So, and then you fucking stayed on fucking, sneaky attack and got a fucking zinger in at the end in the last.
He did. I was now. So yeah, that I'll give a quick breakdown on that one because so most of it you're just going to hear me going, can anybody hear me or am I talking to myself? So if they actually have that recorded, you're just going to hear me saying that a couple times and then going, all right, that's cool. I'll go fuck myself. Just like mumbling to myself. And then me and Scance just dropped a couple jokes because that's what me and Scance do. And then I was like, all right. And then I muted myself, I think, just because I was coughing. So they said, oh, we're going to kick you guys off after 30 and we'll do the 10 without the Discord. So around 25, I clued in that I was not actually muted. So I saw it up on my picture. And what I did is I just muted the microphone, clicked the little button. And I was like, when they kick me off, I'm going to get them. So as soon as they said, all right, everybody, and they started kicking people off, I unmuted and said, hey, guys, I'll be up after my thing. And I almost broke Tanner. Like, he just, he started dying. And Tommy's going, what? How did that happen? But it won't be on the podcast because I wasn't being recorded into their Zoom. So they're either, it's just going to be them reacting to me or they'll cut it right out.
They'll probably explain it.
I can see either way. They might, either way, it's gonna be funny. We know it happened, so if they don't talk about it on their podcast, just know that we talked about it on ours, and then use that as a gauge of who's your favorite podcast.
So I said to the crew, I was like, we heard it, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
And then just one last thing, and like maybe this is a bit of a project for some of our listeners. The quick story for me, because a lot happens when I'm gone in 2 weeks, right? Like a lot of the time, if I'm working 10 hours, I'm not coming home for dinner because the kids are in bed. Morgan's like, don't come home because they're just going to rally them up. Like, just go eat and come home after they're in bed. So I spend some time in pubs and restaurants, sometimes late. And I live right in between two small towns. So the one I go to in the one small town is the Pilots Legion. It's the 447, the Wing. I'm a member, blah, 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 right? And the other one is just called like the Grill. Like it's this little tiny restaurant. And I was at the Grill the other day. Both of them have Keats on tap. That's why I go there. And I'm in the bathroom and it's a really nice setup. Okay. Like they have this silly keg as a urinal, but they also have like a really cool change station, which a lot of men's rooms don't have because people just assume that dads don't dad. And this one has a really nice setup. So I was kind of like appreciated that they're considering us. But for some stupid fucking reason, there's just a random picture of Al Pacino as Scarface in the middle of this bathroom. There's a plant, like a nice fern. There's this nice change station, and there's this stupid fucking photo of Al Pacino staring at you every time you go in and out of this bathroom. And I just gotta know who thought, what men like? Peeing into a keg and Scarface, and just like with no sense of decor, just was like, boom, Scarface. That's our bathroom motif. You guys are gonna nail it. So I was just wondering if anybody else out there, if you happen to see some silly, completely out of place men's bathroom artwork that just doesn't make sense, send it on over. Tag us, tag the podcast, tag me, throw it on the Instagram stories. Because I got to see if it's just this place or if it's the rest of the world. I understand like countryscapes or even like some like forest scapes or something, right? Because it's such a small town. Like I'm mostly surrounded by farms. Just Al Pacino. I just wanted to put that out there.
Oh yeah, hit us up with what you guys find, and you share it in the stories and whatnot. Maybe talk about it on a future episode. So I think it's time that we're going to, honor our main sponsor, our only sponsor. I know you guys have noticed we got some affiliate guys we've been trying to pump up, but just to be clear, like the Massonomics is the only reason this podcast exists. They are our literal only financial sponsor, and without them this wouldn't happen. So we appreciate you when you guys use our affiliate links. That helps get us a couple bucks. Eventually when we actually reach the minimum threshold to get paid, but the main thing, just keep supporting Massonomics, and let them know that we sent you. And Big David, our guest this week, is going to hit us with a little ad read specifically for our friends over at Massonomics.
All right, this is a little bit for Massonomics and the crew. So this ad, it's best read in a traditional Western Northeast South Dakota accent. So if it doesn't make any sense, it's the accent. Come on, join the Massonomics Discord crew. There's no need to haggle for just the price of a bagel. You can hop on the Discord bandwagon. It's always active and never dragging. So come learn and yearn and harken back to a place where we could reminisce about what's in Tanner's sack. Massonomics.com/join. You'll never be bored. And you too can finally say, I'm on the Discord.
Nice. Appreciate that. That was well done, my friend.
Hell yeah.
We know that's always a little nerve-wracking for people, but you did great. That was easy. We appreciate it. That's our goal for anyone that's gonna be a future guest. Like, we really appreciate when you take care of the ad read. It's your way to kind of, just show your support for Massonomics, and it gives a little variety rather than me and Joey just saying the same thing every single week and making it like a boring thing. Like, we like having someone put their own little twist on it, and I like hearing, original stuff. It's cool. That's like getting a different perspective of what other people think Massonomics is, and anything we do to help their brand helps us. So, and with that, we're gonna close out general topics, and I think we're gonna have to kick out any looky lures we got, and you want to get that guest on the horn.
Actually, now I can only see the white hair in my beard.
Oh,
not in your, no, in mine. I got a big long one. I got a big long one in my mustache, and it's like now it's all I can see. All right, got our guest on the horn.
Yep.
Now is this Big David? Is that you?
This is. Are we live?
We are live on Unpaid and Underrated. We're gonna dive right in. We don't want to miss any gold.
My mind's going a mile an hour.
Yeah. You don't sound British. So in case anybody thinks this is the other episode, it's not. We had a week in between.
Allegedly.
So we'll go ahead and usually we start with a different one, but for this week, just for clarity, please tell us who you are, wherever they can find you on Instagram, which Discord David you are. Like, everyone likes to joke and play around and say, "Hi, I'm the other David," but to give yourself credit, like, who are you? Where can people find you?
Oh, and your supporting member number if you got the card.
Oh yeah, I checked it earlier. It's 79.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So this is Big David. My Instagram is bandofdruthers_D. It used to be Memenomics numero uno, and I changed it around when this podcast was starting because I thought of that name and thought it was funny, and so I just took it on Instagram instead. On the Discord, I'm Big David, and it's the one with the Michael Scott picture.
Right. Appreciate that. A little bit of clarity, because, everyone likes the joke of like who's who, but like, we're literally going to sit here for a couple hours. I want people to actually know who we're talking to, and, make sure they're following you.
Yeah, I don't think we bring that up enough, though, what this podcast was almost called. I think if we have an episode of like just me and you, or just me, you, and Nate, I think we should have just a list of what we almost called this podcast, because there was some really funny submissions. Band of Druthers was one of them. There was one that I particularly liked. I don't remember what it was now, but I think it was based off Two White Lights. Like, I was mocking them in some way or another. Yeah, I definitely want to. I think we should somehow. I wish we'd screenshotted it, but we'll go back.
Yeah, someone can power through that. Well, Big David, obviously you're on Unpaid and Underrated, but we are, friends with the sister podcast, Massonomics. So what brought you to Massonomics?
So I first found them through the podcast. It was probably 2018. I started going to a new gym, so I was driving because I moved, so it was closer to my house, and I just needed something else to listen to. I listened to a lot of podcasts then, so I figured there'd be something about lifting, and that's probably what I searched for was like lifting podcast. And um, I think I like wanted something sort of like lighthearted, but you know, sort of talked about training maybe. And those were the ones I listened to early on. I would just pick ones based on the topic, which was kind of funny because the topic would be like, does squatting to depth matter? Or uh, just random stuff like that, which is funny because you listen to those episodes and they probably talk about that for like 3 minutes out of like an hour and a half. And somehow I just kept listening to them. Sort of started to realize that they're not like a serious podcast. They're just more having fun, talking with each other. Um, I thought they were Canadian for like, I don't know, a few weeks because their accents at the time like sounded different. Like I'm pretty used to it now, but I was like, I think these guys are in Canada because they say certain things funny, and they didn't talk about South Dakota in every episode back then. So I was like, I'm pretty sure these guys are Canadian. And then Tanner started talking about the Army fitness tests. I remember that was one of the first episodes, and I was like, oh, interesting. I wonder what like the Canadian Army fitness test is like. And I realized that that's not what they were talking about. I think it sort of clicked then, like, oh, these guys aren't actually Canadian, or maybe some of them are, or something like that. But
Wait, so Canadians sound funny? Like that's kind of what I took from there. These guys
well,
sound funny. They must be Canadian.
they just say things wrong.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
You always said
Um,
something earlier. I can't remember what it was, but I almost
I
called
heard it
him out on it
also.
because I was like, that's not how you say that word, but I think what it was
Decor.
now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
I heard
yeah.
it too.
He said decor, I believe, right?
What do you say?
Decor.
Decor.
That's so fucking lazy. Yeah, you Americans have no panache, no finesse in your language. Decor. It really sounds like decor. That's all right. I'll stop
That's
teasing you.
funny. No,
But
so
yeah,
that's cool.
so
2018. It's one of the OGs.
yeah, so I just listened to random ones. I know by 2020 I was listening to them like weekly, like leading up to episode 200. I remember like listening to those ones because they kept saying like, oh, episode 200 is coming, big things are coming, things are going to change. And I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And that's when they started having guests pretty much every week. So somewhere around then I was for sure listening weekly. And then during COVID, I probably started from the beginning to listen to the back catalog from one to whatever the current was. Um, Eventually, somewhere along that, I started following the Instagram because at first I didn't really care for it. It was just like a bunch of powerlifting videos that I didn't really know who the people were at the time, so it didn't appeal to me that much. But once I really liked the podcast, that's when I started following them and realizing more about like Tanner and Tommy and stuff. I think Tyler was already gone at that point.
Nice. So, what do you because you had touched base on how the first several episodes you listened to were just them shooting the shit and like picking a topic, covering it for 5 minutes, and then shooting the shit for an hour. Uh,
Right.
Comparing those to the interviews, how was that transition, and which one did it take you a while to be like, okay, I like the interviews better, or like, I give me the old ones, or was there any kind of like growing pains with that, if you recall?
No, not really, because at that point I kind of liked them. So like you could see them growing. Like they were leading up to it and they were getting better and better at like hosting a show and stuff like that. So I thought it was a good transition to start having guests because once you once you actually listen to the back catalog, once Joey gets to that, like once Tyler leaves, there's kind of like a while before they figure out how to get back
Mm-hmm.
into it. So by the time they got to like the guests, they were fully back in it, and so it was good to just see them keep progressing past that.
So here's the thing about me listening to the back catalog. I'm never gonna. And if I do, I'm not telling anyone.
You're just gonna start dropping references that like you would only know if you were
Right.
like, a sub 200 listener.
Yeah.
That would actually be funny.
And then play dumb if you call me on it and be like, no, I don't know. Matt told me to say it.
We'll talk about him a little later. Okay, so being one of the OGs, I'm sure you've participated in a lot of our contests, if not all of them. And I know you had a couple really banger videos out there. Have you actually ever won any of the contests that they put on?
I have. I've won
Yeah.
several.
Several. Well,
Yeah.
that was a loaded question. So, pat yourself on the back and tell us what you won.
Thank you. I liked when Joey asked that a few weeks ago to someone. I was like, "Oh, they should ask me this one because then I could say yes, multiple." But um, the first one. So I didn't do the old contests. The first one I joined was the first meme contest, and that's sort of when I made my Instagram account also because I think I saw someone else do that, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a smart idea," because I don't really post on my personal account, and if I do, I'm not going to post random memes that no one would understand. So I just made an account just to do that contest basically, and just kept it from then. Um, so the first meme contest, there wasn't like a grand prize winner. It was just 5 winners, and I was one of those. Um, and then I don't know if it was a year later, half a year later, they did another one, another meme contest, and that one was the grand prize one that I won with the video for I'm on the Discord.
Yep.
That was I don't know, maybe a month after Discord was released on us, and that one won the grand prize. I was pretty proud of that one.
What was the prize for that?
That was the 35-pound plates from the Strength Co.
Okay.
But that was before they made 35, so it was a 25 and a 10 duct tape.
It was legit duct tape too, wasn't it? That's
Yeah,
fucking great.
it was
That's
a lot of
hysterical.
duct tape and saran wrap and stuff like that.
Did that fuck up the coating when you took it all off or anything? Did you ever sit there with like goo that like what is it goo gone or orange off or whatever and actually get the adhesive off from the duct tape? Because I could see that fucking up some plates.
No, it came off pretty good. They might have had like saran wrap as the lowest layer
Oh
or something
yeah,
like that. I forget
that'd be
what it
smart.
was, but it didn't mess it up.
Okay, that's good.
I was
That
I was gonna
that would have been a
yeah,
dick move for sure.
I was gonna try to keep them together and just use them like 35s, but one of them was like the holes are slightly off, so I couldn't get it on a bar. So I'm like, well, I can't actually use it. I'm just gonna take them apart and use them as 25 and 10s. And
Now, have you added to the Strength Co collection since then, or is it just those?
no, yeah, before that I had basically a full set, like a 45, 25, 10s, 5s, and 2.5s. So after that I had an extra 25 and extra
Oh, but like,
10s.
so you already had Strength Co plates. I'm saying, like,
Yeah, I had like one
okay,
set of them, yeah, before that.
gotcha, perfect.
And was that the last one you won, or did you place on any others?
No, there's others. I
Did you
forget the
beat
order.
Matt in any of them? That's all we really
What?
want now. Like,
I did.
were you able to beat
Yeah,
Big
Joey
Matt in any
did.
of them? Nice.
Yeah, the first one where there was 5 winners, Matt was one of the winners, so I wouldn't say that's beating him. The second one I beat him. I think him and Nate tied. That was when they got their. They might have not actually won, but they got their bridesmaids award for that one. I forget if they won something or they didn't win something with that, but they both like tied on that one, and I beat them. And the other ones were, I forget which came first. It was the reveal contest,
Yeah,
and the drink spotter one. The reveal contest, I technically got 4th place and 3rd place, and then when they got to 3rd place, they realized they screwed up because like, oh, this guy just got 4th place and he's also in 3rd place. So I think that's when they bumped Jen up to 4th place. And I won 3rd place. I wasn't sure how that worked at first until Tanner like messaged me. He was like, here you go, like you got the 3rd place prize, not like 2 prizes. But and then the 4th one was the drink spot. The drink spotter one. No, I'm getting messed up.
Yeah,
That's all right. It's not
no, there was one after the reveal one.
It was the
no, you're right. It was the trick shot, and then it was the Jefferson. I don't think there was one in between.
There was an
I think I've only done a couple of myself, and I've definitely done the drink spotter, or because the drink spotter was the trick shot, and then the most recent Jefferson deadlift one that was like within the last like 6 months, right? So okay, because it was in July. Was that had to be this year?
He's deep in thought.
Either way,
deep in thought.
Maybe I didn't win that one.
Nate and Matt multiple times, so
or he's reading he's reading something off his penis.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I might have not won that one. Which one did you enjoy? The reveal one?
Yeah, I won the garage reveal.
Okay.
I won the giant check and the gift card.
Gotcha.
And then they just printed like we for weeks they couldn't figure out how to get me this giant check because the shipping was hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
And then they were like, wait, it's like $50 to just have a company in his town print them. So I had to go and pick it up in my tiny little car. It's pretty funny, actually.
It's funny. So Big David, how many crew have you been able to meet in person out there in California, or any other your travels? I know you met someone recently. Have you met anyone else before that?
Yeah, that
Tell us
was
about that most recent meetup.
sure. Yeah, I've only met one. And that was just a couple weeks ago. I met Big Andrew Garrison from the crew. Um, that was at the Strength Co. Turkey Pull. I don't know if you want to get into that at all, but he's the only person I've met so far.
Well, I guess technically you met Grant then, because Grant
Oh
is
yeah, yeah, you're right. I
he's
met
officially
Grant.
a crew.
Yep,
He's
you're
not
Connor,
right.
he's not overly active, but he is he is in the Discord at least.
Yeah, you're right. I
Connor
met
would have been
Grant.
there. Yeah, Connor would have been there. He's crew.
Connor wasn't actually there. I thought he was going to be there. I wanted to meet him.
Oh, what about D?
But Dee was there. I didn't really talk to her, but she was there. Braden was there. He's always in their videos. I don't know if he's in crew or not, but he's one of their people,
Well, I know D and Grant and Connor are, and
right?
D's got the coveted spot, right?
Yeah.
69.
Yep. Which was really weird when the Arnold, me, Nate, and Kevin were all like, "There she is, crew number 69," and she turned around at first like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then kind of, I guess, clued in, but I can see why us yelling that without any context would completely put a lady at the Arnold off. So
Yeah, for
sorry,
yelling
D.
669 at like a random woman. That's not
Sorry,
very.
D. We knew who you were.
She's the girl at 69.
Yeah. Yeah, I could, in hindsight, yeah, I could see how that would be very unnerving for a second.
Well, speaking of hindsight, if there was one piece of Massonomics merch you'd wish you bought there, Big David Hunter, which one would it have been?
Hmm. It's a good question. I think. Hmm. For the most part, I have the ones that I liked. Like since I've been around, I've got all the ones I like. What I would like is all the ones I have in large. I would like to have them in extra large.
Well, there you go.
So,
I
so
guess
some
that
of the
counts. That
so
borderline counts.
like the neon lift shirt, I wish I had an extra large. The Massonomics heavy lager, I wish I had bigger, and then the lift fast. So those three, I wish I had in a size that I could actually wear comfortably. And then maybe for one I didn't buy would be the first time they came out with the blue lift shorts. That would have been cool to get.
No, I completely feel you on the shirts not fitting. I'm in a large right now, and I'm finally comfortable. I went from smalls to mediums, and then now I can only order larges.
Yeah, I went large, XL, 2X. So I've got a package of 2X coming hopefully it comes this week.
Are they orange?
No, Carp scared me because he said that his benching he ordered a fucking triple X benching 315 and like it's a little snug and him and I are like about the same size.
I warned everybody because I can't wear my benching 315, and I bought it in medium, and I can't wear it.
But Tanner said it was printed on the same blank as the blue ribbon lifter, and I had to sell my blue ribbon lifter to my buddy who's bigger than me because it was so like the 2X blue ribbon I was literally swimming in. So I was like, well, if it's that size, I almost have to go XL. So
No, I think the vinyl pressing or whatever they use, the screen printing shrinks them.
Maybe
because
sense,
most of their mediums, like if I've got a pump and want to show off, I can still fit into a medium. Right? It's not comfortable, but you'll see me and know I lifted that day. I can't with that one, with the 315. It just, like, I feel like if I lean over and pick something up, my back's going to just tear that shirt to shit. So I think it's just the vinyl printing on it. Might be the same blank, but not all blanks are the same.
Fact. That is factual. Well, I think we got some stuff from your wife we're going to dive right into. She was a good team player and gave us a good about 2 pages worth of shit that we can scour through and find some embarrassing things to poke fun of you out. Maybe not sure. Let's see. What do ones I wanted to hit on is there a reason someone calls you Big Game as a nickname?
I mean, the origin of it was my last job, which was my first job out of college. I had like a nameplate. Actually, I have it over here, but it's like made of stone. It just says, my name, David Hunter, on it. And I had that on my desk. And, one day I came in my office and someone in between my name, they wrote David, and then with a sticky note put Big Game Hunter because my last name is Hunter. So
That's
like
good.
a group of maybe like 10 people in that office, every time they would see me or refer to me, it was always Big Game.
That actually is funny because she told me where you got it, but not how you got it. And like as soon as you said like as soon as you actually said like your name on a plaque, David Hunter, I was like, that clicks. That so would if you had to pick between Big Game and Little David, which one would you go with?
Probably Big Game.
Yeah. Little is it Little David because your dad is a David, I think. Is that what the gist on that one was?
Yep. My
Gotcha.
dad is also David Hunter. We have a different middle name, so I'm not Junior. I guess it's not like I'm not a David Junior, but just as a kid, people calling the house and stuff. So I would answer the phone and they say, "Oh, is David there?" I'm like, "Yes, this me." And it's a little kid, obviously, and just like in sort of like family events or whatever, they would say Big Dave and little David because I was the kid.
Another example of why give your kids your own individual names. They don't have to have the lineage name. I don't know. I could complain about that all day, but I don't know. I just, as someone that like has to share his first name with his dad, I don't know. I just want my own name.
I just says that why you go by Keith, not David.
Yep, that's why as a 1 minute old child, I decided to call myself Keith. Yes, correct.
But wouldn't that just make you Big Little David?
I'll show you a little
If you're in
David.
Discord, not you. The other Little David.
Ah,
Yeah, in Discord, you'd be
yes.
Big Little David.
Big Little David Hunter. Big Little Big Game David Hunter. That was a mouthful. That's what she said. Uh, let's see. I should have done it back. I didn't overly organize these notes, but she gave me so much stuff that I was trying to like organize it all and like put it in columns and tabs, but it was just
Well, I went through some of it and stuff jumps out at me, right? Like I did have some time. What the fuck is what's a cinnamon scented broom? And so I go to Trader Joe's as much as I can.
That's what
I've never heard of this. Never heard of this.
So out here, at least, it seems like every year around fall time, they have, I don't know if you ever see them at other grocery stores, they have like cinnamon scented pine cones in like a bag. It's just a bag of pine cones that smell like cinnamons.
Okay, kind of.
Cinnamon.
And you put it on like a bowl on your dining room table for the holidays or something, right?
Yeah.
For like decorations. Okay.
So it's a similar thing. It's just like a wooden broom. Like it looks like an old style like broom that someone would have in like the 1800s, like made of sticks. And it just smells like cinnamon. And pretty much every year around this time when I go to Trader Joe's, I buy one and I just have like a big grin on my face. My wife's like, "What'd you get?" And it's one of those stupid brooms in a bag.
I know I want to go to Trader Joe's.
It's good stuff.
I think the closest one's actually outside of Buffalo.
So that's what, like 40 minutes, an hour?
About an hour. Actually, about an hour and a half. Because Buffalo's about an hour on a good day.
Does it take a long time to get through the border to go into the U.S. from Canada?
That depends on a number of things. There was a big explosion recently, so that kind of shut everything down.
About that. Yeah. I think that happened that happened middle of last. That happened a couple days before Thanksgiving, didn't it?
Yep. So like the last time we went, so like when me and Steve were coming back, we came back in some like podunk town off a reservation, and like the border guards were shocked to see us because it was like 1 a.m. and they were just like, "Hi," and we're like, "Oh yeah, we're just driving back to Canada." So there was nobody that we were through in 5 minutes. Going down to the U.S. last time was a bit of a lineup. And me, in my standard non-committal fashion, because only Siths are absolute, she says, "When are you coming back to Canada?" And I said, "The plan is today." And she looked at me and she said, "What do you mean the plan is? When are you coming back to Canada?" And like that could have totally delayed but in my head, I was just like, what if my car breaks down? What if one of my kids gets sick and suddenly I'm not coming back and you guys are looking for me? Like, I don't want to commit to today because you're never in control of the things around you. So like that shit could add some time. So yeah, it either takes long. The Rainbow Peace Bridge takes longer than any other bridge I've had to use though. Crossing Detroit was quick.
The Rainbow is where the explosion was, wasn't it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's craziness. Well, speaking of some crazy classified stuff, we hear that Big David here is working on some classified stuff in his fancy job. You just want to tell people, as much as you want about what you went to school for, what you're doing for a living, and why it's classified.
Well, I can't talk about any of that stuff.
Not even a little bit. You
Nope.
can you can touch on no.
I could
Well,
talk about unclassified stuff,
well, yeah, clearly.
but um, I guess what do you want to know?
That's kind of
I
that's
just well,
it's such a loaded question. Hey, tell
I
me stuff
know.
you can't tell me.
well, no, I just like she's you went to school for aerospace engineering. Is that actually what you do now? And what the fuck is aerospace engineering? Is that
It's
what
when
Kevin
you
does?
engineer
I don't know.
aerospace shit.
I don't know. Is that like
Yeah,
you
so yeah, I can get into that. So
explain it to
yeah,
me like I'm five?
well, so you see, there's airplanes and there's rockets.
Ooh.
That's the combination of aero and space. So my degree was in aerospace engineering. So that was that's what we learned was basically how to design and build and test both airplanes and rockets. That's not currently my job. I'm a mechanical engineer now, so it's all related. Most of I've been working for like 7 years, and I think 5 of those years my title was mechanical engineer, and 2 of them was aeronautical engineer. So they all kind of overlap. Just depends on what you're working on. Um, so I mean, I've worked when I was in college. I was interning at JPL, which is NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab in Pasadena. So I worked there for 6 months. I worked on uh, Cube satellite, if you know what those are at all.
A cube satellite?
Yeah.
Isn't that just a Borg ship?
Oh, what?
A Borg ship? No? All
I don't
right. All my
know.
Star Trek listeners, call me out next time.
But anyways, they're just like small satellites. Like they fit in basically the size of like a cereal box. They're kind of like a standard size, so they always fit in this specific box, basically. And so I worked on one of those, and that was pretty cool because it was a small project. Like they have giant projects that have, hundreds of people on them, and this was just like me and one other mechanical engineer. So I got to like be really involved in it. Like we ordered parts, we built things, we tested things. So that's pretty cool to get to do all that like hands-on stuff there. Um, After college, I worked on the F-35 fighter jet as like a structural designer. So all the like structural components that hold it together, basically. And I did that for almost 4 years, and then I sort of went into the dark world that I can't talk about.
No, you're good. The
And
F-35, which was that one of the ones featured in Maverick, or is that which generation of fighter jet, or is that a completely am I completely off base on like which F whatever the fuck that is?
no, you're right. I think they had some in Maverick. That's not what they were flying. They were flying F-18s, but
Okay.
they might have shown some on the carrier at one point. I don't think they're technically operational with the Navy yet. They might be now, but they started
So
filming that a long time ago.
is the yeah, no, that's movie took forever. Was the so like F, what is just for, I'm curious, you might know this. Like what's the F stand for? Is that fighter for fighter
Yeah,
jet or
it's
is it
fighter.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
F for
And then
fighter.
is the number always just kind of like the generation, or is it like based on like the size or the speed or the maneuverability or something like that? Like is it all just like this is 2023, so but it's the 35th version of it?
Um, I don't really know. I think it's sort of random. I think it's sort
Okay.
of chronological. Like World War II had like F4s and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
It's
And
like the
then
85 Top Gun was like F-16, wasn't it? And then now they're like F-18s or F
yeah, that was
whatever's.
yeah. So it sort of goes like that. Like
Okay.
F-14 is what they were flying in the first Top Gun,
Okay.
and then
14s.
F-18 is what replaced that, and now technically F-35 is replacing that. So those numbers all went up. But there's
Gotcha.
also like F whatever 117, which came out a long time ago. So I don't fully know how they come up with those names.
So it's just similar to our episode titles, it's just kind
Pretty
of,
much just
slight,
random.
slightly random. Nice. Well, that's cool. That is neat. It sounds like you like what you do, at least. You're still doing it, so that's good.
Yep.
Most people can't, most people, I don't know how many, not everyone can say they like what they do, so that's cool. Got to dig that. So, mention, let's see. So you looks like you're a garage gym guy. Is that something you recently got into? Have you always had the garage gym? They said your wife kind of made it sound like lifting. Well, even you mentioned like when you first got into Massonomics, you weren't really a big lifter because you didn't know who these power lifters were. So is
Right.
fitness and lifting in general just something you've kind of found more recently, or how's that been?
Yeah, relatively recently. I mean, probably in college, I would say is when I started like working out, like going to a gym. And that was mostly like going to the YMCA with my sister because she worked at a YMCA at the time. So when I was like back home during the summer, we would go do those like, 7 a.m. classes with all the old ladies. And we would be like the youngest people there by like 30 years, just like not Zumba, but like, I guess like hit like high intensity classes and
Hmm.
those kind of things. And then did some lifting towards the end of college, but that was just like the basic stuff like the machines, leg presses, and that kind of stuff. Um, and then after that, once I started working, was more when I started trying to do like real lifting, like barbell lifting, and then just more and more that progressed more towards powerlifting style training. But even that was like a few years of just doing whatever in the gym, even though I was squat, benching, and deadlifting. It wasn't following any program or learning any real technique at that point. So like pretty much everyone else. Like when COVID happened, our gym closed, and I slowly started trying to acquire equipment. I remember I was mad because maybe like a month or two before COVID happened, I had like a basic adjustable dumbbell set on my like in my Amazon cart for only like it was like $50 for like a set
Yeah,
that went up to like 25 pounds, or maybe it was 40 pounds.
it might
But
have been
like
a
it
little
was
more. Yeah,
but like that would have been perfect to have. And like I never ordered it because at the time I was going to a gym, but I like wasn't going that often. I was like, man, it'd be nice to have just, some dumbbells at home. I could just do something. And then like COVID happened. So like that was impossible to find that kind of thing for a long time.
I
And
I re- I regret to inform you I zoned out for a second there. But it's just because I wanted to let you know that the Glaze rating on Top Gun 1986 was 8. He said it was very good. We'll watch again at some point. Reserved for top 20%. But the Glaze rating for Top Gun Maverick from 2022 was a 9.
oh,
Nearly perfect.
I like Maverick.
That's just
it
sorry.
was
I
good.
I I was as soon as you guys
That's
started talking
funny.
about Top Gun, I was like, I gotta have this website like saved somewhere so that I can Glaze search as soon as
Nice.
anybody brings up a
That's got
movie.
my second get. Like, and now I got a second because like a lot of times if I watch like a sequel or something, I will go back and like glance at what I rated the previous ones. I'm sure I did that with that. I must have, at that time I must have thought it was just a hair better. So I'll stand by that. There are times that like people will call me out on my rating, and I kind of look at it and I'm like, no, I agree with that. I stand by it. But like every now and then I'll come across something and like I'm just like scrolling and I'm like, yeah, maybe I should up or raise that up one or down one.
The IMDb rating of the original Top Gun is 6.9, and I don't think anybody's allowed to say anything about it to keep it there. Sorry to interrupt
Yes.
your gym story there, but I was just like, I was going through it as I was like, God, don't stop talking about Top Gun until I find
That's
this.
funny. Well,
And I think
that's
that's a fair rating because I mean I like the old Top Gun. That's probably one of my favorite movies, and I would probably rewatch that one more. But like Maverick was like it was probably a better movie, like
yeah.
overall. It was just a good movie. Like it was surprising to me too that the sequel would be that good.
You don't get that very often.
Right.
Uh, but and just to talk on Orange Glaze rating just a little bit more. Like if you guys actually go to fucking IMDb, like my ratings are fairly on par with what like the general public thinks of that. Like there are outliers for sure, but like 70%
Oh
of my
yeah.
ratings are like within like a half a rating of like what the fucking general public rates it like on the average. So I'm not
Okay.
that
I'm
far
gonna
off.
look up a movie and I'll let you know if that's actually true. Stand by here.
I've
I
heard you've
Stand by me.
seen I've heard you've seen 75% of all movies ever created.
But I said, yeah, but I'm not really sure which way that means. It's just 70% of the of every movie or 70% of all movies. I don't know.
That
That
was
was a
pretty
good
funny.
one.
As soon as you said
That
that, yeah,
was.
that's what I was like. Well, I'm not trusting you if you've never watched the ending. Okay, hold on.
We
So what
got a
about
kick out of it.
There Will Be Blood? What was the Glaze
I
rating?
think I'm a little lower on that one than what the average might be, but I think the average is lower than what you think it'll be.
So the IMDb rating is 8.2,
Mm,
and you
I
gave
think
it a
I was at a
6.
six. Yeah, well,
Just okay.
it's an outlier.
One of the greatest actors in the world putting on what is known as one of his greatest performances one of my favorite movies, and you gave it a just okay.
It can be a great performance, and you still don't like that. You don't have to like the movie. Like
It
if
was a
you're not
fucking,
inter-
it was an incredible movie.
I also
What about Gangs of New York?
Gangs of New York.
Did
I probably rated that an 8. I
David,
bet.
what do you
And
think about Gangs of New York? What do you think he gave Gangs of New York?
I haven't seen that one, but if you didn't like There Will Be Blood, it's a little more like more happens in it, right?
Yeah, but it's
Probably
also
like
like 2 hours longer.
6.6. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Probably still like a 6.
he gave it an 8. He actually gave it a higher
Okay,
rating than
okay.
IMDb does.
what IMDb is probably like a 7.2 or something. I bet.
7.5.
Okay. See, I'm not as
You
far off
could,
because like, everyone's used to like the JD Powers, which is 1 to 5. So like with the on a 1 to 10 scale, it's just like it's different. I don't know. I feel a lot of my ratings are pretty on par, but you know, it is what it is. They're called your ratings, not fucking our ratings. So suck my dick.
you could turn this into a segment.
I
Just
know
Keith
it's
rated higher.
it sounds like I'm calling you out, but I was really just
No, I
interested
know.
because I haven't used this
It's
search
funny.
engine before right now. But
Nice.
as soon as you
I'm
asked
glad.
about Top Gun, I was like, oh, I'm bringing this up.
That's good stuff. So let's see. You said you used to listen to a lot of big podcasts, but now you not so much. But what were some of the ones you listened to prior to Massonomics? Anything that like because you said you listened to kind of like I'm assuming you listened to Mark Bell's Powercast. I'm guessing that
I,
kind of seemed right in what you were describing.
no, I didn't actually back
Oh
then.
wow, okay,
I think Massonomics was probably the first lifting one I ever listened
okay.
to. Back then it was uh I don't know if I listened to Joe Rogan back then, maybe a little, but probably not much. I listened to Serial back then,
Mhm.
whatever those big ones were. I think I used to listen to This American Life sometimes, the NPR one. But I got bored of that one when it because it basically just turned into all politics, and we
I
obviously
can't
don't
fuck
want
it.
that.
Yeah, we don't want.
Exactly.
We
It
start
used
talking
to
about
just be
podcast, and
like,
we're just gonna find that end call
right,
button somewhere.
yeah.
Well, here's been a hot button topic lately. Podcast while lifting, yes or no?
Hmm. I I
Hmm.
do sometimes.
Okay,
It depends on the podcast and it depends on the lifting.
I
I
can
don't
see
usually
that.
listen to the new, like the current week's Massonomics podcast. I won't usually listen to that while
Hmm.
lifting. Sometimes I'll listen to Table Talk or what's it called? Let's Get Stupid. Sometimes I could listen to
Yeah.
those while lifting because they're kind of Let's Get Stupid I can listen to while lifting somehow. It like just like feels like I'm just hanging out with them basically.
Nothing really happened. Yeah,
Exactly.
I listened to that on my drive back today, and I could fucking zone out for 10 minutes and not miss
Right.
anything because they're still making the same dick joke. So it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I can see that, but I do like your logic on like if you are going to listen to one, it's not like a current Massonomics because you don't want to miss out on something at that point because
Right.
like pretty much every word almost matters because that like one fucking phrase or sentence could end up being a goddamn inside joke or a meme that lasts for the next 6 months because you never know what's going to turn into like to be viral.
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes Table Talk I'll like just zone out for like 10, 15 minutes because they're just talking about how they train a
Sets and
certain way
reps.
10 years ago. Exactly. It's a lot of sets and reps. So sometimes I can just like it'll just be background noise or I'll actually, listen to it. But if it's like a heavy set or anything, it's always music or nothing even. But um, so it mostly just depends on what I'm doing. I'll warm up with podcasts and then switch to music when it starts getting like the working sets. That's pretty much what I'll usually do.
Now, do you listen to a lot of podcasts while you're drinking whiskey and cooking steak and anything like that? Those seem to be like your wife hit on those being kind of your main hobbies or steak, whiskey, and smoking meats.
And I want to point out, there's a common theme here of whiskey, steaks, smoking meat, not liking vegans. There's a whole common theme here, and then one name appeared in all of these notes. Ron Swanson. So tell me, are you the living embodiment of Ron Swanson?
No, I wish, but he's definitely like what do you call it? Not a hero, but he's a good person to try to be more like. I feel like I don't drink that much whiskey anymore. Probably more back in 5 years ago would be more often.
What
But
kind?
I mean, either bourbon or Scotch would be the main ones. I like Canadian whiskey also. That's kind of just like a baseline one. If you're ever gonna mix it with something or just have like I don't know, I sort of just always have that stocked, just like the Costco Canadian whiskey or like Canadian Club. That's kind of like the cheap
Yeah.
one I would use. Um,
I don't have a lot of
bourbon,
I don't have a lot of patience for Crown Royal.
yeah, I don't know if I've ever even bought that. It
I
just doesn't
think
seem worth it. It's
it's a
nothing
Canadian
special.
whiskey, but it's very sweet.
Yeah,
Like a very popular thing after like younger college kids and shit. I remember everyone had like a Crown Royal bag to keep like money in or something when I was a kid. It was, I don't know. I think it was a bartender thing that they put like their tip shares and like a fucking Crown Royal bottle or something.
No, yeah, they use those bags for everything. We use those
Mm.
up here. Yeah, like you would keep stuff in them at home. You would use them as rags. They were good for polishing like your car. Like Crown Royal bags were a big thing when I was a kid. And now I don't think they do them.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm not in the bar scene anymore. It's been years since I've worked in a fucking kitchen or a bar.
you're talking. They're like it's like a purple bag with like a
Yeah,
yellow
it's a
little
purple bag
string.
with the
Yeah,
drawstring. Yeah,
yeah. It took me a minute to think about what those look like. I haven't seen one in a long time.
I think I remember that bag more than fucking Crown Royal. Like I don't. I'm sure I've had shots of Crown Royal when I was a fucking teenager, but like, do I remember? Have I have I seen it even? I don't think I've seen anyone order it in 20 years. So I don't know. Is that even still a thing?
I bet there's a bag in the basement somewhere.
It could be. Now, what there is in the basement is several pairs of Crocs, and I want to talk about Dig David about Crocs. And my notes here say you don't like Crocs, but you wear Crocs. So, is there anything with that you wanted to
That's a
touch
good
on?
way of putting it. I've always hated them. Growing up, I would see them. I thought they looked terrible. I still think they look pretty bad. And then somehow I got convinced enough to buy a pair, and they're like I wear them inside the house all day. That's like my shoe I wear indoors. Um, so I do like them in that sense. Like they're pretty comfortable. That's just like a slipper essentially,
Hmm.
but I don't really wear them in public or outside the house or when I
Okay,
see, I don't know. I feel like I don't, since they're pretty normal now, it doesn't really affect me if I see someone wearing them, but I don't know.
I got a little Croc story that's funny. So I'd never had Crocs for years, and I recently, I think my wife got me a pair a couple years ago. And I was like, okay, I think they were even knockoff Crocs, but they were orange. So I was like, of course I'm gonna wear them. So currently, I think I have like four pairs, but I've got an orange pair that are like house Crocs. I think I have a black pair that are like I have an orange pair that I wear in the gym. I've got a black pair that I'll wear outside, and then I've got another black pair that are basically this might blow your mind, but probably not because you said you so you don't even put Crocs on to take your trash out or anything like that. Like rather than like
No,
you'll put tennis shoes on rather than putting a pair of slippers, Crocs on to go outside for like literally 90 seconds.
pretty much. We don't usually wear
Fuck
shoes in
that.
our house, so if we're wearing shoes, they're like our indoor shoes.
I got you. Well, I mean, like if you're going out, like you don't ever just like oh, like so I don't have an attached garage that I can just walk into and put the trash into. So to me, like I take the trash out like almost once a day between the trash, recycling,
Oh,
something,
gotcha.
something. So I'm like always going like down my stairs, out into the driveway to the side of the house where the trash cans are. So I always would have a pair of like quote unquote outside Crocs that I don't like wear
Hmm.
in the house. And those are like the regular one with all the holes in them. But I also do this year round. So last year I found a pair of Crocs that like are more clogs than Crocs. So it's still like a Croc style, but there's no holes in them at all. So they don't. So they're essentially waterproof as far as like the part that actually exists. So I can wear those when it's like raining or now it's winter. So like yesterday, I had fucking 2 inches of snow yesterday, and I still need to take the trash out. And I was like, well, I'm gonna go downstairs and get my winter Crocs and put those on and put the summer Crocs away. So I just thought that was funny. If anyone else actually has a pair of, if anyone wears Crocs, just take the trash out or something, and they actually have a winter pair and a summer pair like I do, because I doubt they do, but it's pretty fucking life changing to not get wet feet or socks when you're taking the
No,
trash out.
I went to the old Canadian Tire and bought myself a pair of mucking boots, and they're thermal lined and slides
Yeah,
in and off, but they go up to the knees. And they're warm as shit. That's what I used to take stuff outside.
I
I
gotcha.
don't I don't have rain and snow here, so I can't really relate.
Oh yeah, wet. Yeah, because you're like the nice hot like in like you're in California, but I know a handful of people live in California. And everyone's got a completely different climate. So like, what's your
Yeah.
climate like?
I mean, it gets hot in the summer, but for the most part, it's pretty mild all year. Like it's in the 60s right now during the day. it's getting colder at night, and by cold I mean like 47 degrees outside. So, I mean, we're
Yeah,
still sleeping with the windows open, and it gets down to
Jesus.
like 70 degrees inside right now. So,
Does
does
Yeah,
your
it really
house
get
actually
that
have?
cold here?
Does your gas? Are furnaces common in your area? Like, do you guys
Yeah,
literally not have furnaces and just have like little space heaters if it gets like 30 or something?
I think everywhere I've lived has had a furnace.
Okay.
Whether or not I've actually used them in all those places is probably not. Like
I can
my
imagine
wife, my
gas.
wife will turn it on a few times a year. I'll never turn it on.
Is natural
Um,
gas extremely expensive? And I mean, everything's expensive in California, but I can imagine natural gas would just be one thing that I could imagine just being inflated.
I I don't really know.
Yeah, I guess you,
No,
you would.
I remember being in San Francisco and Cupertino and coming from Canada and the Apple people warning me it's September and them warning me it's cold, bring a jacket. And then I was like, I'll bring a hoodie because that's pretty much what I wear like up here in the winter. But like then you get down there and yeah, it's everybody's wearing like layers and layers. And I'm from Canada. I'm hairy, drinking beer like at like noon, just walking around in a hoodie, looking at all these people in their jackets. So yeah,
yeah.
I guess it does get cold there, but yeah, I can see what you're saying. How your version of
I'm
cold is
very aware that it's not actually cold here. I always run warm, so I mean I wear a
yeah.
t-shirt all year, and then same like you're saying, everyone's wearing like sweaters and scarves and stuff when it's 68 degrees outside, and I'm like still basically sweating at that point.
I do remember that distinctly until I went on the bridge, and then I had to like hide because it was
Was it
freezing up on that.
windy?
Oh, it was so
Yeah.
windy. This is the windiest thing I think I've ever been. Yeah, actually, probably the windiest thing I've ever been in. Like I had to oil my beard after because it was just because I was like, I'm going to sit on the top of the bus on the outside so I can see over the bridge. And you're like,
Oh,
and just like nobody can talk to each other because it was so windy.
yeah. I've been to that like that viewpoint when you get across the bridge, and
Yes, yeah,
that was pretty cold and windy, like crazy wind where you're like you need to like hold on to stuff to not like blow away. That's what it feels like.
yeah. It was pretty, but it was good. It was great. I'd go again. The drop of a hat.
So I just one thing I saw in the notes here. I want to harken back one real quick. We were talking about how prizes or competitions you won. Is there a high school movie competition that you kind of are bitter about your placement in, and anything you want to clear the air about of where you finished and if you had to share it with anyone or anything like that?
Well, yes and no. So the story is that was in high school. In high school English class, we had to do like a year-end project, which was to make like a 10 to 15 minute movie about one of the books that we read that year. And we
Sports and books.
this yeah, exactly, sports and books. And so I think this is also like a good similarity to how I do the Massonomics contest. They say to do, 30-second video, and I want like a elaborate setup story. That's something that like goes way over the top for no reason. So in high school, we were supposed to make a 10 to 15 minute video, and ours ended up being 30 minutes long. Um, our book was A Farewell to Arms. So it was like a World War One book, if you ever read that. And it was pretty funny. Like the people that were in my group were sort of like the funny people in the class. So when like the class was watching it, we also like went way overboard. So it was 30 minutes long, was twice as long as it needed to be. And we had a lot of good like resources. Like one of my friend's dads is a cardiologist, so he had his own like doctor's office, which is basically like a whole floor of a hospital. And we filmed in there like at night because no one was there. So we had like hospital rooms and like whole hallways and stuff we could use. Um, and another friend lived out like sort of in the country. So his house, we had explosions and stuff like that. Like we could do whatever we want there. Like we blew stuff up and like he had a bunch of guns, which I'm surprised that like we could have this stuff in our school video back then, but definitely could do that stuff now. Um, but anyways, we just like went way over the top. Like one of my friends was wearing like a wig the whole time. Like he was supposed to be the girl, and like him and the other guy were like real close in it. And just the whole class like for 30 minutes, like everyone was laughing, like dying laughing. Like if um you just like everyone was laughing. So it was, I mean, it was sort of a contest, like, which video was the best, and somehow we tied for the best with some other group. I don't even remember who was in it, but I do remember
Bullshit,
that.
man.
Yeah. Their video was like, I wouldn't even say it was second place. Like theirs was not funny at all. Like it was just not good. And somehow they tied with us, which is, yeah, it's definitely bullshit. Like I wouldn't even say it was a tie. Like when I think about that, I just think, oh yeah, we won that. Ours was the best.
How
But
dare they not make a comedy about World War One? Those sons of
I
bitches.
know.
Now, was it supposed to be a comedy, or did you guys just kind of turn it into something a little like funny and bantery?
I mean,
That's not a word.
all the videos were supposed to be like fun, like
Bantery.
nobody was trying to make them like serious to what the books were like. It was just supposed to be
Gotcha.
fun. I think we had like certain rules, like we had to like incorporate certain things that we learned that year. Like so we had like catchphrases that were just thrown in there, but
We like
everyone
catchphrases.
everyone tried to be funny in their videos, I would say.
Nice. Well, yeah, I definitely like misinterpreted how I read that. So yeah, I was asked. Yeah, no, that's cool though. I'm glad that you and your buddies got at least some of the credit you deserve for that. That was cool.
I mean,
Something
everyone
something that you at least told your wife about enough that she remembered enough to mention it in the notes. So
Well, I made her watch it. I made her
there
watch
you
the
go.
whole video, even 10, 15 years later.
Well,
Look,
I just
I'm not mad. I just need you to see this to see if we would have won.
Well, like I still know all those guys that are in it. So like whenever we would all be around, we would still like talk about it sometimes. Or like if there's a song, I'm like, oh no, that song was in our movie. And eventually I like made her watch it because she
She's
needed to
talking
know.
about it all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I only asked about that because I didn't realize I had a whole second page of notes that we need to kind of power through real quick. So I'm going to pick like one thing and then we can go into some questions from the crew. So one last thing I want to touch on is you and I sound like we're a lot in common with this is being extremely picky and doing too much research before we buy stuff. Here it says that took you 5 years to pick out a new backpack. Is that factual, or do you want to counter your wife's statement of 5 years to pick out a backpack?
No, that's pretty accurate. It's probably more like 12 years. It was the backpack I had since high school, since I think I got it maybe freshman year of high school or even in the middle school. So I graduated high school in 2011. So that's backpack was probably from 2008 or something. And just replaced it a year ago. So however many years that is.
And are you happy with the one you bought?
It's okay.
It's okay. So
it works for what I need it for because
it'll do.
It'll do exactly.
Well, like in your defense, my favorite backpack when I was in probably high school and middle school was just those, like, they were just canvas,
Mm-hmm.
right? They had maybe a buckle on the front and you just threw your shit in there, threw it on your back, and you went. And now they're so elaborate, and I feel so old saying that sentence. So I've got one from Apple from when I was down there, and I've got one from like Herschel is apparently a big company now that does them, and they're just like, there's so many pockets, and now they have to all have iPad or laptop sections. So I can see how like you go from like my favorite that I drew on and has all my friends' signatures and stuff on it to like, what is happening? Like, what is it? Why do I need a carabiner in my backpack? Like, why do I need that? I'm putting my stuff in it to go to the hotel.
Yeah, the only reason I replaced it is because the zippers stopped working. They kept getting stuck and stuff, so it stopped being functional. So it was time.
Sounds like a good reason to replace something. Okay, let's get some crew questions going, because we always ask the crew and they don't always just give us gold. So sometimes they give us something to go.
You can cherry pick a few of these. I think we're about that hour, 20-minute mark just for a baseline, so we can keep tabs on ourselves a little bit better for you guys.
I know,
I know some of you don't love a 3-hour episode. We're going to try to make the average more to 2, but
I genuinely want to go around 2 hours every time.
Yeah,
if I go over, that's fine, but 3 is.
But the hard part of that is like we have to speed up now because we can't just cut the guest off when it's actually their turn to ask us shit. So like that's the tricky part. Is like we drag out the middle too much. So that's why I'm thinking we do like
it's only tricky when you overthink it.
Maybe 3 or 4 crew questions.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, do it fucking live. All right, so
So we're about a
let's
quarter
go.
of the way through the episode.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
about to dive
no,
right in.
let's hope not. Let's go with little fuck Mary kill. Dwight, Daryl, or Kevin from Big Jim. Dwight, Daryl, or Kevin. Fuck Mary kill. Everybody loves a
Uh,
little FMK.
Dwight, Kevin, and Daryl
Daryl, yeah.
Are these characters
from
from
the
a show?
from
The
The
Office.
Office.
Got it.
Yeah.
Check.
Dwight Schrute, Daryl, the office dude, and Kevin, the big fat fumbling oaf.
It's a good one. I do like all those characters. Um, it's hard to say.
I think I got mine.
Kevin's like the nicest one, like the probably least intentionally funny. So he'd probably be Mary. Um, Dwight is kind of crazy in every way. Like you wouldn't really want to work for him or hang out with him because he's just so intense. But if you somehow were, choosing him to run something for you, he'd be the one you want. Actually, Daryl's pretty good at running stuff too, so
Daryl's the
that's
man.
tough.
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah,
Wasn't Daryl like in a
he's
management
actually
program or something
yeah,
at
he
the end?
was yeah, exactly. And he was like in charge of the warehouse, so he's pretty good at that stuff. But I mean, Dwight's a bigger character in the show, I guess.
I would say I know what you're talking about because I'm pretty sure I host a podcast with a Dwight Schrute.
Beats.
Yeah, like just if you consider our relationship, sometimes I can see definitely a little bit of that in it. So I know what you're talking about.
Well, now you can't say you're gonna fuck White because that's your way of saying you want to fuck me, and I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah,
So.
buddy, do it. Say it.
I'd probably
yeah,
just
okay.
say
10 second. You have the 10-second clock. FMK.
yeah, F Daryl and then kill Dwight.
All right, that's it. That's honestly, I think where I would have gone. Maybe. I think Kevin. I don't know. But yeah, I would take Daryl over Dwight. I guess. What do you got, Joey? What do you got for him?
Well, there's one in here that I thought would definitely be fun, but I've been hinting at it the entire episode, so I don't think I'm going to ask it. It was from Jen, which spacecraft would win, Millennium Falcon or Starship Enterprise? But I've already dropped a Star Trek reference that just zoomed right over you, so I get the feeling.
Because the aerospace. I'm guessing.
Yeah, hypothetical science fiction aerospace is not your forte.
I mean, I've seen a handful of Star Trek. I didn't know your reference off the top of my head. I think the Enterprise would win. Wouldn't the Enterprise win? Aren't those like way bigger than the Millennium Falcon? Falcon's like, basically an airplane size thing.
The Enterprise,
is like
it's a goddamn you can have there's like 1,000, there's like 500 people on it or 1,000 people on it.
But if it's a race speed wise, the Millennium Falcon would win. Did I ever tell you guys? I don't want to hijack a guest section. Did I ever tell you guys about the time that I completely trolled somebody at my work for like hours about this?
No.
Oh man. Okay, just very briefly, because this just fits right into what you're talking about. I had said something about Star Trek, like the theme of the day, and it's in the district chat. 70 people from all over Ontario are all in this chat. I said something like the theme of the day is Star Trek. And then somebody mentioned something else, and I kind of said, I find your lack of faith disturbing. And this one person from another store said, well, I thought you said the theme was Star Trek. That's a Star Wars reference. And as soon as she said that, I just went, well, what's the difference? And she went off on me in front of like the entire 70 people in this district chat, trying to legitimately explain the difference. And I know the difference, but I knew that it would rile her up. And so I just kept playing stupid while also dropping references that you'd have to like be familiar with to get. And one of them was, I started like trolling her about the speed of the Millennium Falcon versus the speed of a photon torpedo from the Enterprise. And then I just kept pretending they were the same thing. And this went on for hours and hours and hours until I finally I had to give up. And then to top it all off, on a conference call, on a video call, somebody was wearing a Star Trek shirt, and I congratulated them on their Star Wars shirt. This person was on the call, snapped on me, Then we had an in-person meeting a week after that, and I wore a Macho Man shirt, but it was Star Wars. So it was like Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth as like Leia and Luke, and Hogan as Darth Vader. And I pretended like I had no clue what she was talking about. I was like, no, this is a wrestling shirt. It was probably my greatest long con, and just absolutely trolling another human being. I'm sorry to her.
That's so I'd be like, it's the most annoying thing I've ever heard in my life. I hate
Yeah,
you so much
I
for
know.
that.
I know you
it's
would.
like such a douchebag thing. It's like I'm trying to even see if that's funny. Like it's funny to you, but like you're just giving that woman anxiety, and
Oh,
that just gives me
I was getting
anxiety.
messages from just like absolute strangers being like, "This is A+ trolling." Like you got her so riled up by just simply asking what's the difference. So anyway, I don't think you're going to answer that question.
I'm good with these. I think we hit any of those. I think we hit all the highlights from the crew this week.
Well, like we
Unless
love
you
the
got
crew,
one.
but we're like, guys, you know,
We covered a lot of it too, and a lot of it is just
Scance
like
is old. We get Scance is old, and we get that there's more than one David. How many different ways can I say what's it like to be one of the Davids? It's in here
Pretty
three
great.
times. It's in here
Yeah, I'm good.
3 times.
It's pretty great.
Different variations of what's it like to be a David.
Yeah, I think we're good to hit some affiliate link rolls. I don't. We have to figure out how we're gonna do this. We might just sprinkle them in other future episodes if we get a little better rhythm. But I'll talk about Barbell Rescue here real quick. So Big Murph wanted to share this with us. She wanted us to share this with you. What that is. So our Barbell Rescue affiliate link ad read this week. So, do you wish you could take the entire circumference of the shaft in your hand and be done quickly with the cleaning? That is, whether the shaft is in the basement, the garage, or just a dirty or it's just a dirty shaft you found at a commercial gym. This tool has you covered. So go ahead and use code NWC to save 10% on any barbell rescue purchase in the future. And I believe Big Tanner and Big Carp have already used the codes. We really appreciate you guys. That code might get changed to unpaid in the future, but for now it is still currently NWC, and I'm working on getting the one for plate snacks ironed out. So once we get that, we'll add that to the list. But yeah, that is our Barbell Rescue ad read.
Well, I finally wrote an ad for Obsidian Ammonia, and as somebody who studied PR extensively, you think I would be better and quicker at this, but I am not. So this is the rough address. This is the rough kind of version. Based out of Ontario, Canada, Obsidian Ammonia has become one of the leading names in smelling salts for the lifting community. Combining extra strong salts, a passion for the sport, and a silly goose marketing plan, Big Travis has become an important part of PRs and gyms across the world. From basic salts that will help a PR to the strongest thing to ever slice your face apart, these salts combine science with violence to assist you with your next max attempt. So check out Obsidian Ammonia at hypedust.com and use code UNPAID on any order to save 15%, possibly get a free gift, and help out your favorite podcast hosts that you're currently listening to.
Right. So, Big David, we're going to hit you with a little unpaid or underrated. Are you familiar with that game, or should we go into the rules about how you're not supposed to ride an ass with two fucking
Two horses.
Nice.
One ass.
Big Dave, would you like to explain the rules to Keith?
Yeah, will you explain the rules? Yeah.
Something you're not supposed to ride an ass with two horses and the cart in the front of the something.
Now the ass is the donkey, right? Like, is that the ass they're talking about? Like horses and donkeys are all the same, right?
You tell me.
It all sounds the same to me.
All the same.
All right, so all right, Big Dave, unpaid or underrated Birkenstocks?
Unpaid and underrated. Definitely unpaid. They're unlike Crocs. I will never think that those are cool in any way or comfortable. Growing up, both my parents had them. I feel like that was also like the hippie shoe that like the random hippie teacher would wear, or the vegans would wear walking around in their Birkenstocks. They're more, I guess, normal now that like, teenagers or something would wear them, but I still think they look stupid. I've stood in them and they're just, I guess they're good in the sense that like it's a real sole shoe that will form to your foot, but they're just like a hard rock that looks stupid. So, in terms of like the public opinion, I would still say unpaid because they're just, I don't know how to explain it, but
Now, does a Birkenstock have to have the whole ankle latch and everything, or is it just like any
No, well,
sandal that's just made of like that like leathery cloth
I
stuff?
mean, it's a specific brand, but I think like the classic style is just the two straps over the foot. It doesn't have an
Okay.
ankle.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the ones that have the ankle as well, but maybe I'm off base. But either way, so similar to Crocs, you do not like them, but you like them significantly less,
Yeah,
and
I've
you
come
won't
around to
ever wear them.
Crocs, but I won't come around to those.
I gotcha. Well,
I had a
so
sandal in
what else are you gonna come around?
university. Ugh, I had a sandal in university. Speaking of hippie shit, that was actually called Splaff, I want to say. And I think they were out of California because of course they were.
Of course
And
they were.
they were made out of hemp and recycled tires. And they were the most efficient, longest lasting, ugliest, but most comfortable thing. And they genuinely like their bottom was a tire tread. The strap that goes over your feet was literal like bike tubes. They were so awesome. Now I'm thinking I want to get those again.
The tricky part with shit like that you find when you're younger that you're like, oh, that's awesome. Like they're probably out of business. They probably don't exist anymore. And
Yeah.
finding something like the similar is just going to be not as good ever.
Well, they got like no overhead. They're just going to the dump and buying, like taking tires home and cutting them up. Like maybe.
All right. Well, we'll stick with the shoe trend here and the feet trend just for Big Moto guy. Let's go with New Balance. What's your opinion on New Balance tennis shoes or the company? I guess it's a company that as well makes a little bit more than tennis shoes. I'm going to go with New Balance tennis shoes as the question for unpaid or underrated.
So this one might be flipped. I don't like New Balance, like the dad shoes. I still think they look dumb, and I don't want to wear those yet. I think if you wear them with jeans, they look dumb. If you wear them with shorts, they look dumb. I've heard they're the most comfortable shoe ever, so they probably are pretty underrated. I mean, people wear them. I guess they're, in style now. I think they're dumb visually. They're probably pretty comfortable and last a long time. So if that's sort of like a joke that everyone thinks they're like the dad shoe, they're probably actually underrated because I think they're probably one of the best shoes out there.
The final answer was underrated then, or was it?
Yeah, underrated.
Did you ask Ride Horse 2 times whatever?
No,
Underrated.
I'll
Now,
put my opinion aside and say they're underrated.
now, do you think they look ugly because like the stereotypical New Balance is white, but they
The
also have
white
black
ones.
shoes that are just like they just blend in and like they're just. I think I had to wear. I think I wore them as like a kitchen shoe once. If it was like the anti-slip New Balances, but you couldn't tell they didn't look like my fucking grandpa's New Balances that he wore. He would literally just buy a new pair
Right.
every 2 years when they got grass stains on them or something. Like I know those shoes very well, but they make a black version of it that like I don't feel are as like old manny.
Yeah, those aren't as bad, especially like you saying that's like a kitchen shoe. I mean, it just looks like a work shoe, which is fine, I guess.
Well, speaking of kitchens, I'll finish up a little food talk. Tomatoes, unpaid or underrated? Tomato.
Hmm. For the most part, I'm not a big tomato fan in terms of I don't care for them on like a hamburger or in a salad. I'll eat them, so I'm not like what's the other Big David and celery. Like I'll eat tomatoes.
That threw me off. That was like he was so, and we were trying to get like a childhood trauma story out of him. He was just like, no, I don't like it. I can't do it. It was fun.
So I mean,
we were trying to get a childhood trauma story out of him.
Well,
he said in passing regarding celery. What kind of podcast are we running?
Because this week's David is like, tomatoes kind of suck, but whatever. Last week's
No,
David,
I'll
fucking puke if you put celery near me. And I was like,
it was just
is there a reason?
No, I really just enjoyed the sentence that we were looking for childhood trauma.
If
I'm not as
politically
picky
correct,
about food.
I wouldn't be here. Well, I don't know. I was just curious. Like your wife gave me all these, so
yeah.
She gave me
I see why she would say that. Like I'll pick them out of some things, but I'll also eat them in other things. Like if it's salsa with a ton of tomatoes, that's fine. If it's let's see, if it's some sandwiches, it's fine. Obviously, stuff like tomato sauce or tomato soup or spaghetti sauce, I'll eat that. So
I'll go like
they're pretty versatile. So probably underrated.
A good Scottish breakfast. A good Scottish breakfast will have half a tomato, and you fry it, and you just sear the open end. Nothing like a hot tomato in the morning.
Yeah, that's a good example of one I don't like tomatoes. I don't
I
like them like in an omelet or something.
yeah,
I
I could
don't
see
I don't
that.
need tomatoes there.
Yeah, I think my mom would like make like a tomato sandwich, which is like toast, like a tomato and like some mayo and then some salt and
That's
pepper.
my
Like I
dad
don't
because
know.
we grow tomatoes. We grow
Yeah.
fucking hundreds of tomatoes every year, and my dad will for 5 days straight tomatoes, tomato, mayonnaise, pepper, toast.
Is there
Those are
any like
also
what?
better than a store-bought tomato.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, do you ever had an heirloom tomato?
Yeah, and
That
that's
shit
better.
that'll blow your fucking mind. First time I had one of those, I was like, "What? Tomatoes can taste like this?"
All right, Big Joe, you got three of them there for him to round out little unpaid and underrated.
All right, so unpaid or underrated, Impossible Meat.
Unpaid. It's I'm trying to think which one I've had. There's Impossible. What's the other one? Beyond.
Beyond
I
is
had
the
like a
one I've
bite of
had.
whichever one, like Dunkin' Donuts had a sample of once. I had like a piece of it, like the sausage. It tasted fine, but I mean that stuff's just like processed
It's
oils
chemicals.
and
It's
it's just
literally
chemicals
chemicals.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like if you don't want to eat meat, that's fine. But if you're trying to eat something that tastes like meat, and usually people, will try to say that's like the healthier option is to have the non-meat option, but it's not healthier. And I don't know. I don't have an issue with eating real meat. So it's definitely unpaid in every way possible.
Yeah, it's always fun because I've got some vegan and vegetarian friends. I've dated vegans and vegetarians, and it's just when they're the first to look at me and they go, "I'm sick of people asking me if I'm doing it because it's healthier," because it literally isn't. Like you have to like know more. Like us as meat eaters, we're just like, that's got stuff I need, and we just eat what's in front of us. Whereas if you're vegan, then like you have to be aware of how much potassium you're missing out on, and how much creatine and protein that you're missing out on, and the different kinds that are. So it's really funny to hear that it's healthier because it literally isn't.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
unpaid or underrated, fake milk.
I mean, that's kind of the same logic.
I have no clue. I saw it there, and then I assumed it was what like
That's
these powdered milks.
like no, I was thinking more like oat milk, soy
Yeah.
milk.
Okay.
Uh,
Things that don't have nipples.
exactly. Like how do you milk an almond?
I drink a lot of almond milk, man. I know it's not the most, and I think it's people say it's like the most environmentally like unenvironmentally conscious thing.
Friendly.
Say like they
Yeah.
they kill so much shit.
Yeah, it's the
Cashews are
same thing to me. It's just it doesn't to me it doesn't taste as good as milk and I don't know. I can handle dairy, so I'll just drink real milk. I don't have a problem with it if other people drink it. I'd be less bothered by someone that drinks alternative milks because I know a lot of people are lactose intolerant. Like my wife can't
mhm.
handle too much milk, so she'll usually get those. Or at home we use the Fairlife milk, which is lactose free but tastes
Yeah.
like real milk because it is real milk.
And I like to have to kind of extend the conversation a little bit. I do think that there's also a certain level of I don't give a fuck tied into it for me. Like if I'm at somebody's house and I'm having a coffee and they're like, "Well, I only have almond milk," I'm not gonna be like, "Well, I'm not drinking coffee then. I'll just have almond milk in my coffee." Like I just kind of believe that the person that cares the most wins a little bit, and it's not me usually. So if I'm out with somebody and they're a vegetarian and they're like, "Look, I can't go to this chicken wing place with you," I'm not gonna like not be friends with them. I'll go wherever they want to go just to accommodate them, right? Like I work with a
Right.
guy who has dietary restrictions, and we specifically made a meal that he could have. And I won't get into those dietary restrictions because that's not this type of podcast. But he was just so thrilled that we would accommodate him at all. And the rest of us were like, no, we don't care. Like you care, and this was like a second of my life to reconsider, can I make something for that guy? So that's the way I see this kind of stuff. Like I can't invest that much time in it. If it matters to you and it doesn't matter to me, you win. We'll do your thing, right? But if
Yeah, I
you're
don't really care. I have pretty strong opinions, but I don't really care if other
yeah,
people
same.
agree with them.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is, I might judge someone, but I don't really care. I don't need them to be on my side of
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's the same way too. Like if I've my friend is recovering alcoholic and I'm like, let's go for a beer, and they're like, well, I can't go to that place, it'll trigger me. Then we'll go
Hmm.
somewhere else. I'm not gonna be like, no, we have to go here. I don't care about your tastes. Like that's just fucked up, in my
Hmm.
opinion. All right, so I guess I've got the last one. I might do two here because it looks like we need a second. We need to kill a second here.
Keith is
Un
missing.
Unpaid or underrated? Soccer.
Unpaid. Uh, I
Agreed.
can.
Why?
Well, I would at first I was thinking, well, that's just my opinion that soccer's boring and dumb. But since it is like the biggest sport in the world, I'd say it's very overrated. Everyone that loves soccer thinks it's the best sport ever, and that's a majority of the world. Therefore, it can be overrated. But it's just boring. It's a sport that can end in a tie with 0-0. It's a
Hmm.
long, I mean, most sports are long, but it goes on for however long. They're just running around a good game, they score like 1 or 2 points. It's just not a lot happening.
Yeah.
It's just I just can't get into it. I'll occasionally like during the World Cup or something watch one game or two games. I get that like most of that stuff is just fun to watch, with your friends in a bar, which makes sense. Anything's fun that way. But the actual sport itself is just not. It's just there's nothing to it to me that's interesting.
Yeah.
I know it's not. I'm not saying it's easy or anything, but it's just boring.
Yeah, I don't I like watching the soccer highlights, right? Like that's generally where I cut the line. I can't do a 2 hour game of watching people that did their hair to play their sport is also weird to me. And I don't know. It's not my game either at all. It's just so boring to watch. But I don't know if you guys have this where you are, but when I lived in the city, if there was a World Cup game, you couldn't leave your house because it would literally just be filled with people driving up and down the streets, hanging out of their cars, waving flags, honking and screaming. You couldn't get anywhere if you were anytime because we have a pretty big Portuguese, Italian, and Indian community,
Hmm.
and they will just take over the streets during every World Cup, which is good for you, but like annoying for me. So
No,
I
it doesn't really
agree.
affect us here.
Oh
You'll
yeah,
you'll maybe you'll maybe
what?
see people with their flags, like a lot of Mexico fans here, or if like US is playing, you'll maybe see something, but it really has no effect on it here.
Rhea, oh yeah, it's here. Like you'll be sitting in your apartment and you'll just hear horns and screaming, and you'll go, "Oh yeah, the soccer game is on today," and like you know that you're just not getting anywhere anytime soon.
It
Uh,
does get like that for baseball though. Like Dodgers, if they're in
okay,
playoffs or big
yeah.
games, you'll hear fireworks, you'll hear gunshots, mostly fireworks, but yeah, people will go crazy. You'll be like, oh, like, I don't know, whatever, 9 p.m. and you hear a bunch of fireworks and you'll look up, oh, Dodgers just won a game or something like that. So that's sort of our equivalent.
All right, I've got one more because I wanted to hear the story about this, if there's even a story, and I don't hope this doesn't fall flat on my face like I do sometimes with these. Um, Unpaid or underrated? Childhood head wound.
Uh,
Yes, finally got him.
why? I don't know why it would be underrated.
It would be anything but unpaid.
I mean,
Just an
as a
excuse to get
kid,
you to tell the story.
I guess it happened multiple times. As a kid, I don't know how many times, at least twice that I know of, fell on my head and like cracked my head open.
Ugh,
So like
gosh.
bleeding and like parents had to rush me to the hospital. Um, I think one of them was like in the living room. I was in like a whatever our reclining chair was, and I think I fell off onto the tile. I don't know how old.
Ooh,
I was probably like 3 or something. I don't remember that one.
Jesus.
And the other one was at a Burger King at the playground. If you remember, like when fast foods kind of had playgrounds everywhere, that one specifically had these rolling things, kind of like something they would have in like, American Ninja Warrior that like if you're on it, it rolls. And I
Mhm.
think I was just playing on it and just rolled on it and just fell flat onto it was probably hard plastic or concrete, whatever was under it, and also cracked my head open then. I barely remember it, but what I do remember was going to the doctors. I don't remember this hurting or anything like that because I was probably 3 or 4. But I do remember the doctor saying like, "Oh, do you like hats? Like I was like, yeah, I like hats. I used to wear like baseball hats as a kid and stuff. And he's like, okay, well, we're gonna give you like a cool hat. And like find out later what that hat is. It's just a head bandage, like a big wrapping around my head. I'm like, this isn't a hat. So I guess that's how they trick little kids into wrapping them up.
Now, did she fart in that bandage before she put it on you?
Probably.
Gotcha. There you go. That makes sense. Also,
kill a second for me, guys. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah. So I got one thing I'll kill some time with. So, did you want to tell us about some childhood headwinds you had that led to some trauma in your adult life or anything? It was a play on Mofo's episode where I kept asking him about being in a car wreck and having fucking head damage or whatever. So it fell a little short, but I thought it was funny.
Well, there's one time at Burger King.
Yeah. I honestly think like I remember that episode. It was like episode 6 or something, and that like I thought I got him, and he did start telling the episode, and I realized oh no, he was in on it. He knew what he was doing. I was like, oh okay, you kept up with it. But how was your Thanksgiving, bud? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was good. Yeah, we went to the in-laws family. We had typical Thanksgiving turkey and the other sides. It was pretty good. I like turkey, so doesn't bother me.
I fucking hate turkey. I don't know if
I know.
I think I'm in. I just don't like turkey. Like, I don't like if I was to eat a meat on Thanksgiving, like I guess give me a nice ham, like a nice like honey ham glazed, like I don't know, like they cooked them with the pineapple and all that jazz. Like give me that. Like I don't like turkey's too gamey for me. Like I don't know. It's either like the dark meat, which I find like moist, but it's like overly gamey. I just don't love that flavor, or it's like the white meat, which is like inevitably dry and needs a pound of salt. And I don't know. I just like give me all the sides, give me all the sides in the world, and I don't know. The main meat is just kind of overrated for sure in my book.
I get why people don't like it. I feel like just most people just don't cook it right. Like I've made a bunch of turkeys and they come out moist. The breast is like the white meat's good. So I mean, if it's dry, like I mean, I don't want to eat dry meat either. But good turkey meat.
Would you eat dry meat or impossible meat if you had the choice?
Dry meat.
There we go. That's what I thought you'd say. So this is the segment where we're going to hand it over to you. Does Big David have any questions for Joey and Keith?
All right. I have a couple questions for both of you, and I also have a game to play.
Ooh.
So maybe we start with the game first. Yeah. So it might have gotten messed up by the live recording last night. I only listened to like maybe 20 minutes of it, but it was basically, the top 40 moments in Masconomics history. So it sort of screws up my game, but we'll still try it anyways. So this game, you might say it's a relatively new segment. It's called If She Doesn't Remember Blank, She's Too Young for Crew, Bro.
Nice.
So I have a few topics and basically just going to see if you guys remember them or not.
Gotcha.
You could elaborate on them or not if you remember them. If not, doesn't matter. And then there's a ranking at the end. So if she doesn't remember the robot voice, she's too young for crew. Do you remember the robot voice?
Oh yeah, that was the first I mean, they did touch about it on last night to kind of refresh my memory, but I've done the back catalog like twice. So, but a lot of it has been like in that like mindless time where you're not really paying attention to 100%. You're consuming like 75% of it, kind of. But yeah, that's she was it at the beginning? It was the end, right?
It was like the end.
Yeah, it was like the last like 30-second kind of like this is I can't literally don't want to recreate it, but yeah, I can hear it in my head, and it's like. I always just assumed it was just like a 45-year-old lady robot. Like it's just like a middle basically 45 is definitely middle aged, like a middle aged woman, like scantily talking to you like in a robot voice. So I remember it very well. Yes.
Do you remember that at all, Joey?
Nope.
All right.
That's back. Is that back catalog shit?
Yeah, that's
not even
pre-episode.
That's not even Crew, because Crew wasn't around till episode 280 something. Like,
don't point out the flaws in my game because these are all old things.
Yep, my bad.
I'm just kidding, but I see what you're saying, but that kind of ruins the game. Also,
no.
That's okay.
The name of the game makes more sense. Yeah, I got it. Sorry.
Yeah, when I joined last night on the live one, they were talking about the robot voice. I was like, dang it, they're screwing up my game because they're probably gonna talk about a lot of these kind of things. Give them all a refresher since you guys are both on. But either way, so the next one. Do you remember? Where's my list? Do you remember Tanner lifting in his garage, posting videos on Instagram of him benching in his garage.
Very briefly, he took a combat rack home, didn't he? I don't remember which combat. It wasn't even a combat. Couldn't have been a combat rack. 'Cause I don't think they had an extra. The only combat rack they had was the Ghost, and it wasn't the Ghost. So I don't know what the fuck he lifted up.
Yeah, I don't remember. It might have just been squat stand or something, but
yeah, or maybe he just took one of the Elite FDS benches or something. But yeah, it was like would have been like the peak of COVID, right? Like
yeah, I think it was right around
then.
then.
Like train in the gym when the gym was legally closed, but he could have still gone and trained by himself because it's his kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, I vaguely remember that. But yes, that was probably like right when I first started following him, so I wouldn't have been like on my radar a lot. Like I wasn't like in. I was just like kind of just getting my toes wet.
Nope, right. Don't remember that.
That might. When did you start listening, Joey? Because that might have been around when you were there.
Yeah, I mean, I just might not have followed Tanner.
Right.
I think I kind of want to say either the episode before or Jen Thompson's episode.
Okay, sounds
which
about right.
Is near 250, I think.
It might have been sometime around then. So the next one, if she doesn't remember yoga for huge dudes, she's too young for crew.
Yeah, I remember that episode. That was early. It was like teens or 30 or something, I think. And I remember they're talking about because they one of their buddies was a yoga instructor, and I think they were in either at her studio or in like Tyler's garage.
I think they were in someone's living room or someone's house.
I think it was Tyler's house because I could have sworn they talked about what's his fucking dog's name? Is it Hooch or whatever his
Fletch.
Big fucking Fletch? Yeah, Fletch kept fucking like coming up to him. If I remember, I think Fletch was like coming up to him as they were in their poses. Or maybe that might just be me thinking of Tyler saying he was like stretching one day and the dog came up to me. But I don't know.
I think that happened. I think he farted in there or something like that.
There was definitely fart. Yeah, there was fart talk. That's what I was going to go with next. There was fart and yoga talk, which everyone farts during yoga at least once.
You guys are really selling listening to these episodes right now. It's yeah. I'm so shocked I haven't gone and done that.
I have a good fart story if you want to hear it now or later.
Always.
So I could just tell it now. It was my dad, but when I was a kid, probably 10 years old or so, like I was old enough that I remembered I was there for this, and we were at a Blockbuster. So if you want to set the timeline, it was a Blockbuster still existed. We were there browsing videos to rent, and my dad farted in the middle of an aisle, and he has some pretty strong farts. He always has, and he just let it go right in the middle of the aisle, and it smelled bad. So we both we're like, we got to get out of this aisle. Like, this is bad. It's like right here. And a minute later, we're probably in the next aisle over. We hear people like walking over there, and they're like, "What's that smell? Like, is there like a gas leak in here or something? Like, this is bad. Like, something doesn't smell right." And like they were like freaking out. Like they were like calling like employees over. They're like, "You got to come here." And like me and my dad are just like watching and laughing as they're like standing right where he farted. So we like finished leaving and stuff. And like by the time we left, there was a fire truck there. They called the fire department.
They did not.
They did because they thought it was a gas leak. So
wow.
And the fire department comes in and goes,
"That's great.
It's fart, fucking dummies."
Well, because at that point it almost had to be dissipated because that's what the fuck. Like the quickest response for a fire truck is going to be like 8 to 10 minutes,
5-10 minutes, yeah,
like minimum, or like the maximum they could get there would be that quick. But no, well done. The last episode with the Big David, there was a hysterical shit story, and this one I didn't laugh as hard. It came and went pretty quick, but goddamn, you blew my mind with the fire truck actually coming.
I'd say it's more impressive than funny that it could fart so bad that they call the fire department.
That is great. Yeah, that is great. I love laughing hysterically on this.
You ever drop a fart, and when like it's going to be bad, like it comes up to you, and you're like, "Oh no, this is not good gravy." And then you just turn to the person next to you and go, "Do you smell popcorn?" And just watch them go.
That's so fucking rude, dude. I gotta work with people every day. Like I was really gassy today, so I obviously I do the courtesy thing when we're in a van for fucking 4 hours because it's 2 hours. 2 hours back, and I'm rolling the window down every like 10 minutes just to fuck. Well, not 10 minutes, but like there's at least once an hour I'm blowing ass enough to roll the window down for like a minute or two. So that's just if you're not doing that, that's fucked up. And you're telling them to fucking does it smell like popcorn so they get a bigger whiff. That's such a you are a prick to work with, aren't you? Jesus,
Oh, I don't do
you're
it to my
picking on
work
people.
coworkers. I actually
Oh,
my
oh,
farts
you
all
do
smell
it to
like
the
roses. Do it to my
oh
wife.
you do it. Oh, okay. I thought you were doing it. Well, yeah. I'll cup a fart and make her smell it. I don't care. That's
I respect my
that's
coworkers, but my wife, fuck that.
okay. Okay, I got you. Okay, yeah. Well, that's just funny. Like that's your wife's supposed to smell your farts. That might
Or
be
what
the
about,
podcast episode title.
do you ever fart before you squat? Like maybe when you walk out or right before a squat and then you sit into it and you're like, this is right
Oh,
where it was.
my I my buddy
No.
did that. Like he farted out and like he had a back spotter, but it was like a big like it was it was like a PR attempt. So like they
We
both just
lost.
powered
Oh
through,
man.
and he had to fucking like squat. He had to back spot him like into the dude's fart. But it was like I think it was the first time he squatted 4 plates or something. So but they still make fun of like they still both talk about it like 5 years later. It's really funny. I've had to like
Anyway,
kill the audio on some of my stories before because like I farted like mid lifts and I was like, well, I don't want people to hear that, but it's worth posting the story. So let me just post a video over top of it so there's not a fart mid fucking set.
All
that's
right.
pretty funny.
What's
All right,
next
the
in
next
your game?
one. So the next one in the game. So there's
Wait,
two
we're playing a game. I
more.
forgot.
I'll switch the order on these last two, but do you remember liftinglarge.com and how to pronounce that spelling for .com?
No.
Not
Nope.
not particularly.
I'm too young for Crew Boy.
Lifting large, DOTCOM.
Okay.
All right. And then the last one is, do you remember James Strickland's actual swimming hack? His swim hack that he mentioned once.
I
No.
do.
It does sound familiar because I think I listened to that episode.
I can't remember.
It wasn't that old, but it basically, because I'm sure you're aware of the first comment race, how swim hack was usually one of the big contenders for that.
Was it just commenting a letter and then going back and editing it or
No, so I think he was in a swimming pool and he had his cell phone in a bag and he still got first comment. So he said that's his swimming. It's an actual swim hack since he was swimming and still got first comment.
Nice. Like my funniest thing about with James, I don't remember if it was the Massonomics episode or some other I saw him in. He basically like he and his daughter like doesn't think he's funny or something to that extent. So she called him swim whack once. So like anytime anytime I tag him in something or like anything like that, I always like refer him as swim whack, just like as a play on something his daughter said years ago.
Gotcha. So I tallied up the points and turns out you guys both passed and you are crew.
Yay.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations.
I want to point out when you said, do you remember Robot Voice? All I could think was, do you mean our first 15 episodes with Keith's shitty Wi-Fi? I kind of thought that's where you were going. I was so confused for a minute.
That's funny. My shit's pretty good nowadays.
All right. So that completes that game.
Yep.
Do you have more?
Just a couple questions. One question for both of you, and then an FMK for each of you.
Ooh, buddy.
So the question for both of you, since we're all big movie guys here in the crew, when you guys watch movies or TV shows, do you have subtitles on?
Not currently. There was a time in my life I think I did younger, and I would use it, but I don't really know why. I think it was just like a phase, if you will. Clearly, if I'm watching a show that actually needs subtitles, I'll listen to the sub. I think I go back and forth on that. Do I watch the dub or do I read the subtitles? I think it was a huge show last year. The game show where they kill you off. What the fuck was that called?
Squid Game.
Squid Game. I think I did Squid Game. I think I kind of switched it up halfway through the season, to be honest with you, because I think it's like I've read somewhere that said it's a better experience to do the subtitles than the dubbed version.
And that's it's an interesting perspective you're putting out there on that, because I had assumed you meant, do we watch English movies?
Well, I think he did.
Subtitles.
That is what I meant. I mean,
Yeah,
that's also a good question if you watch a subbed versus dubbed, but I did mean if it's just a basic American or English
yeah.
show,
I
do you have
have,
the
but I
subtitles?
do not currently. But I have, but I do not.
No, I don't. My wife does. But usually if I'm watching a movie, so like once a week, I get to have horror movie night, which is essentially I just get to watch something my wife is not interested in. So I'll put my headphones in because I use Apple TV and my AirPods will just read it. So no, because I find the subtitles ruin jokes and they ruin surprises in movies. So I will do everything I can to
Yeah.
not have them on.
Gotcha. I always have them on. Sometimes it'll ruin a joke, but I feel like you catch a lot more things that you don't necessarily hear or fully, I guess, fully hear. Like if they say a full sentence, you might miss a certain word or realize they say a certain word. So I just prefer it for pretty much everything.
What annoys me, and to every extent of annoyance, is when my wife is watching something that is dubbed. So she'll be watching an anime and she'll have the subtitles on
Hmm.
and none of them align.
Yeah,
So
that's
like
annoying.
they'll say something in English over the dub and then the subtitles will be in English and they'll be like what was that one, the Norwegian show that about like the gods, like they like the kid.
Anime?
No, what this one wasn't anime. This one was on Netflix. So
Yeah, I think I see what I know.
it's
I remember
all
trying, but I
it's
never
the
saw it
voice
though.
actors from the Silly Vikings show, and then they're doing an actual serious show about like a town where some kid comes in and he's Thor. And you're watching it and like you're hearing the dub and you're reading the subtitles and they're saying completely different things. I hate that. That annoys me. I was like, you got to turn off one of those. I'll accept either of them, but not both of them.
Yeah, that gets annoying sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
Or if it's like a show, like you said, it's not in English, and then they're speaking in English, and there's just no subtitles. So I like having those English subtitles. So even if they're speaking English, I want the subtitles there. But they're like, oh, this show is in whatever Korean or English, so now you don't get subtitles.
I watched Equalizer 3, which is very recently came out. I love the
I've not
Equalizer
seen
movies.
that yet.
I love revenge movies, assassin movies. I love that shit. And it's so annoying that I had to have subtitles on all of it because half the movie was in Italian. And if I turn the
Mm.
subtitles off, I got nothing. I didn't even get the automatically generated subtitles to
Hmm.
translate the Italian. And luckily, like I kind of get Italian, so like I didn't miss a lot. But then I was like, well, now I have to have the whole fucking movie in subtitles, including the English.
Was it a bootleg version? Because I get that sometimes
No,
if
it was
if
rented from Apple.
if
I
I
paid
you
$6
know
for this shit.
if I pirately stream something like or download something like a little shadily, you don't always get subtitles unless like
No,
you
no.
specifically get the subtitles too. So I'm like, ah, fuck, I don't know what they just said for the last 5 minutes, but at least 90% of the movie's in English.
Nope, this was rented from Apple, and it pissed
That
me
would have
off
been
to
annoying.
every
Yeah.
extent.
All right, Big Dave, where are we going, buddy?
All right. Well, I thought of one more thing real quick. Can you explain customs for the Americans? Because to me, it sounds like you order something online, you pay shipping, and then it gets to you, and then they say, hey, give us more money if you want this. Is that
Yes,
how it works?
to an extent. If it is being transported via regular ground mail, so through Carol Stream, USPS, or anything like that, I generally don't have to pay anything for it. If it is something that I could get in Canada and I want it faster, then I have to pay customs. And customs is a guy, and I'll use this little box as an example. There's a guy that opens it and goes, yeah, that's a shirt. $80, please. But generally only when it is shipped express. So I've never paid customs on Massonomics. I've never paid customs on Ghost supplements. I pay customs every time with Norse Fitness because they use UPS. No, they use DHL Express. So if it's going, it's like a sacrifice I have to make. If it goes through Carol Stream, then it goes through standard checks and procedures. I don't pay shit. But I wait 2 weeks. But if I want it tomorrow, I got to pay a guy to open it and make sure it says what it is.
So they charge you at the doorstep, like to hand it to you. They say money, please.
No, usually I'll get an
It's like a
email or a
pickup.
call. Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, I'll get like a UPS is, I think UPS and DHL are usually the ones that charge me. And it's just because it's been shipped so express that like it doesn't have the time to go through proper channels. So they had to like put a rush job on it. And then it's like, well, this is a t-shirt. You can fucking buy t-shirts in Canada. Why are you buying this here? And I think it also matters where it comes from. Because I think if it's a no tax state and I didn't pay a lot of taxes, I think I have to pay the taxation for it to come to Canada. That one I haven't really delved too far into. But that's essentially what customs is. Now, if I'm crossing the border, if I'm over for 24 to 48 hours, I have $400 of stuff I can bring back. If I'm only over for a couple hours, I technically don't have the right to bring anything back. So the customs agent or the border agent, perfect example, as I was coming back from Target and Trader Joe's from New York last time, I handed my wife all the receipts and I was like, just add this up, please. And as we're crossing, the guy goes, do you have anything you'd like to declare? And I said, $311 in random groceries and liquor. And he said, how much liquor? I said, I have an 8-pack of Broken Skull Session. And he went, great, thanks. Next. But if for any reason he thought I was fucking around, they could pull me over, search the car, and charge me for everything they find that's an American product. So I wish I could tell you really what customs are. I'm sure there's a Google sheet out there that really would give you a better example. But I guess it's just that, you're not really supposed to smuggle shit across the border. Like you can't, but I can't get some of the stuff over here. I can't get my Stone Cold beers, my Ghost energy drinks. You can't really get that stuff without crossing the border.
Yeah, the smuggling part makes sense. I guess shipping online seems like you're paying for a product.
So so
charge you. That just seems like BS.
And it's not just them. It's I think you're genuinely just paying for somebody to do it faster. Think of it like a 2-tier healthcare system, right? Where you could take the government system, you might wait in the wait line for 2 hours, but you'll get help eventually. But if you slip somebody $100, you'll get help immediately. I think that's kind of what it ends up being.
Mm-hmm.
But so if I order from a company called Grimfrost out of Norway, they make Viking stuff. Here's a knife, right? I might pay $20 for the product and $10 for the shipping, but I'll pay $80 in custom fees because they're shipping it as fast as possible from around the continent.
Gotcha. So, interesting. Well, that explains it at least. It's funny because you talked about the Broken Skull beer. I used to live within walking distance of that brewery, so to have to travel across the country or another country to get it's kind of funny.
And it's so good.
All right. So Keith sometimes gets jealous that no one wants to talk about country music with him. So I have an FMK tailored for both of you. You could both answer both of them, but one is meant for each of you. So we could do Keith's first. So for Keith, fuck, marry, kill, Alan Jackson, Garth Brooks, and George Strait.
Kill George Strait. I mean, he's got some good stuff. I mean, somehow he has I think he has 50 number one hits, but
I've never been so fucking irate in my life.
I like 3 of them. Fuck Garth Brooks, marry Alan Jackson. Yeah, I'm content with that list.
Those them's fighting words. We're gonna fuck over here.
Alan Jackson, I got Alan Jackson's more nostalgia for me because George Strait has George Strait was almost not that popular when I was growing.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
All right.
It's
All
just
right. All right. All right.
he was
Wait,
more
wait.
like early '80s, like '80s,
Name
'90s.
name 3 Alan Jackson songs.
Oh fuck! She let her, or I let her the drive one, where he let his kids drive the Jeep. Fucking
Drive.
yeah, it's literally called Drive.
It's called Drive.
Uh-huh.
Chattahoochee. Where were you when the world stopped turning? Little Man, Itty Bitty,
Good
or
time.
Itty Bitty Man, I think.
Okay, now name 5 Garth Brooks songs.
Thunder Rolls, Friends in Low Places, the fucking 18-wheeler one. Nah, fuck no, that is the
Mama Love
numbers.
Papa.
Yeah. Fuck. Just Baton Rouge.
Call 'em
Something
Baton
about
Rouge,
Baton
yeah.
Rouge.
All right, so
there's
this didn't prove what I thought it would, because I was very certain you could name Garth Brooks songs faster than you could name Alan Jackson songs. Because there's arguably Garth
Garth
Brooks is
Brooks isn't
the
on Spotify, so I'm like, for me to
okay.
listen to Garth
Yes,
Brooks, I have to go to YouTube, or I have to listen to
Exactly.
like the fake Garth Brooks
he's on
album.
Amazon. It's on Amazon Music,
Yeah.
because that's how I just found it, and
Yeah.
I just listened to like the entire greatest hits today. So I am gonna say we are gonna marry Garth Brooks, and I would die with that. Garth Brooks is a good man. He's a great musician. He's a great songwriter. That dude is like top tier role model in my life. We're gonna actually kill Alan Jackson because I have zero fucking patience for that dude. And we're gonna fuck George Strait.
Dang.
You take Beer Run by Garth Brooks and George Jones and put it up against any Alan Jackson song. Getting controversial.
I guess it's just Garth Brooks was like, I think he did that whole fucking Keith Gaines weird thing, and he
Chris
kind of
Gaines.
like didn't, Chris Gaines, and he didn't,
And still, and you know what? That
and
there
then he
was
didn't do music for like a decade, and then came back, and it was just
and then came back with
Alan
one of
Jackson,
the greatest songs ever.
Alan Jackson has just been like a consistent fucking
Nobody.
top fucking 5 music artists for my entire life, and I saw him live in concert when I was like 18
I saw Garth Brooks
or
live.
19 maybe.
Saw Garth Brooks a couple of years ago. I don't know, man. There is no other artist in the world that I can cry listening to, quite like listening to Garth Brooks. When he sings The River, right? Like Good Luck Not, or that song about his kids. If they're not free to fall, then they're not free at all. You got to pick them up, pat them down, and send them down the road. Just a mush of a father.
What's the one where he has the affair with the older woman? I can't remember the name of that.
That would be.
Fuck, what is it?
It's not Call 'em Baton Rouge. It's
a good song. It's like it's
an incredibly good song.
He tells better stories than Alan Jackson, but Alan Jackson, I don't know. I like Alan Jackson.
So I have the other one that both of you. Mine would be marry Alan Jackson, F George Strait, and kill Garth Brooks.
Wow, this is the most disagreement ever on this podcast.
I mean, I like Garth Brooks,
but we talked about country music for the first time ever, I think. So
no, we've gone about it before.
But kind of like Joey said, like I don't think I could name 5 Garth Brooks songs off the top of my head, and because like Keith said, he's not on Spotify, so I don't really go out of my way to listen to him anymore. So it's just not in my.
He's a bit of a weirdo,
anymore.
Right? Like he's a bit of a he's like, I don't need Apple or Spotify. I can do it on my own, and like. He's not wrong. He's fucking Garth Brooks. He's still selling out entire arenas.
Right.
But like, dude, give us something. Give us like why do I have to be on Amazon to listen to your music? The only reason I'm on Amazon is your music. And that's ridiculous.
People say he's a murderer also, if you didn't know that.
Yeah, he might be.
Okay, good answers and good reasonings. So then the other one, which was more meant for Joey, would be David Allan Coe, Waylon Jennings, and Willie Nelson. If you're even fans of them, but that was more along the outlaw country line.
So you're gonna want to fuck with David Allan Coe, right? Definitely gonna fuck David Allan Coe because I mean he wrote the quintessential country song, right? And then he's
country and western song ever written,
ever made,
yep.
yeah,
ever made, yeah.
I think it is.
and just the dude in general is so full of stories. And then as a metal fan, he did that album with Dimebag. He did Rebel Meets Rebel. So if you're a fan at all of Pantera or metal and David Allan Coe, go listen to Rebel Meets Rebel. Do yourself a favor. Probably marry Willie Nelson.
That'd be my choice too.
Yeah, he seems like a hugger. And his daughter, have you heard her band?
No.
Okay, so she's in a band called Folk Yuki. The word folk, Folk, Uke. There's two particular songs. You want to listen to Motherfucker Got Fucked Up, and you're going to listen to Shit Makes the Flowers Grow. Those are going to make you laugh, and it's good music. And Waylon Jennings, not a good dude. Not a good dude. So I don't think I could name two songs from Waylon Jennings off the top of my head. So we're going to kill that guy.
Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys.
So that's Waylon Jennings?
I think. I hope it is.
Sure that's not George Jones?
It's Waylon and Willie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like if I heard it, I'd be like, yeah, that's Waylon Jennings. But like if somebody said right now, gun to your head, name a Waylon Jennings song, I'd be like,
One of my favorite songs is a very obscure song that he's not even available. Like I can only find it on like YouTube, and it's like a really shitty video. But it's like I found it watching the movie Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. Very underrated movie in my opinion. And there was a very like emotional song, like a very pivotal, like dramatic scene in that. And then I was like, I think like as like a 13-year-old on like LimeWire, right? Like I found the song, and it was like always on my playlist for like my entire like teenage years. And it's but like, yeah, I can't find that song anywhere on LimeWire, or I can't even like find it on an album anywhere. So I always have to like specifically go to YouTube like once a year just to listen to it. But that's like probably the only other Waylon Jennings the song I could name off the top of my head.
Oh,
he did check on LimeWire.
He did the theme from Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, I got you.
God damn it!
Just a good old boy.
Like I should have saw that coming. Mamas don't let your babies grow up. Ramblin' Man. Yeah, like there's not a ton I think that I would say I love of Waylon Jennings. Interesting. Good questions though.
I think my answers would be the same as Joey's.
I'll abstain from this one because I'm tired. And we're at like the 2:20 mark.
2.5 hours. So. Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, that was it for my questions.
Oh, good. What did Chip? Anything else you wanted to cover? Anything else that you just wanted to talk about? Anybody you wanted to call out? Do you want to pick any fights with anyone on the crew? Anything fun like that?
What? We've never
just given him a platform. We're about to go into our outro. So he's got the platform to start any fights or tell anyone he loves them. Anything, whatever you want.
Thanks for having me, guys. By the way, fuck this one in particular person. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that gets out there. Like, I don't know what it is, but whatever they're doing, I hate. Like,
I didn't know if there wanted to be a little David on David hate or anything like that. He's always jabbing at you. So,
no, it's like a rival, but also we're both like Davids, both Californians in a way. So there's like a mutual respect. Whenever there's on Instagram, whenever like Tanner shares one of our memes or posts or something, we always send it to each other to be like, haha, look, I got this. So that's always entertaining. One thing that would be good to talk about, you guys could do it on another episode, is not like a draft, but the people that are competing in the strongman at the Lift Hard, Live Easy, maybe sort of rank who you think would be good at that. Because I think most of those guys, most of like the crew guys are kind of in that same weight class, like Matt, David, Toby. Who else is in that? I think that'd be a good topic to kind of see who would be good at that, since they're all relatively similar sizes and stuff.
Speaking of Matt,
they've done a handful of contests.
Who?
I don't know. Speaking of Matt, this was actually the time he called me and said he was going to jump on. So the fact that he's not here is kind of obnoxious.
Mm-hmm.
I figured when I stepped off to take a leak, that he came on and had a whole segment, but apparently not.
No, missed us on this time as well.
Well, fuck him, I guess.
FMK, Matt, and Matt.
Fuck him 3 times.
Three-
Well, but not that kind of fuck. Fuck in the kill sense, damn it.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Backpedaling there. Fuck it. All right, Joe, you want to lead us out of here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. So I've been Big Joey. You can find me on the fucking internet. Where can we find you guys?
Go check out Unpaid and Underrated Podcast on Instagram. Go check out our website, unpaidinternpodcast.com. Look at all the hard work Nate does there. We actually recently started a blog post. I think it's in the work. You may or may
I
not be able to
forgot he
comment
did
on
that.
the blog in the future. Yeah, Big Nate did a blog, and it'll make more sense. Well, by the time you listen to this, you probably already listened to the sister podcast episode where they did talk about a blog post, and all of like 10 of us in the Discord rushed over to like old Massonomics posts to try to comment on blogs because Tommy had mentioned that, yeah, there used to always be like a race for first comment on the blog. And like 10 years, like fucking 8 years ago. And then like, I think at least every one that I found, like that was like on the first 5 pages, there was no functionality to click on you could see comments, but you couldn't add to it. So
And
I don't know
then
if it's
Nate
disabled or,
and then Nate put up our own blog post
yeah.
with the same title that they said they were going to give theirs, and he's like, "Oh, look, we did it first." It was, and none of us prompted him to do that. It was
That's
perfect.
Oh no, I think I did just say Nate work on this, but not to the sense of like making it theirs. So that was all him. Yeah, website Unpaid Intern Podcast. I'm Big Keith. You can follow me on Instagram, KeithHoneyGuy73. Go follow my Orange Jam, the No Wine Cellar. Big David, which one are you?
This is Big David. You can follow me at bandofdruthers_D, or on the Discord, it's Big David.
All right, and you are the American David, just to confirm.
Have you guys spent any time looking at the names in the Massonomics Discord? I went looking for Grant today because I knew that he had like a weird,
It's so hard to find.
It's alphabetical, and you can't get past B. Like you just fucking scroll for an hour going through all of these names because it's just all big underscore, big underscore, big underscore. It actually murdered me today. I wanted to video, like screen record that. I was dying trying to find Grant today.
It takes me a while because I always send the people the invite to our sneaky Discord where we do the show the Zoom links, and man, finding people on Discord is a fucking pain in the ass. Like these are people that I interact with every fucking day, and I should know what their username is. And then I go to start typing it out, and I'm like, well, that's not it.
Yeah,
the fuck name are they using?
At big.
Are they using their last name? Are they using some fucking actor? Like what the fuck? And then when it's not in the Massonomics Discord, and you're just trying to message them somewhere else, it's a fucking different handle sometimes. And then I hate Discord on that. So I implore everyone, again, add your fucking Instagram to your Discord profile too, just to make it easier for everyone. So we can all find each other a little bit easier on Instagram. And in the meantime, we'll see you next Tuesday.
I know you normally finish with "see you next Tuesday," but I think you and I just dropped way more F-bombs in the past like 30 seconds of this than we've ever done in any episode. So with that, see you fucking next Tuesday.